Today's episode was brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace is the easiest way to create a beautiful website, blog, or online store for you and your ideas. Squarespace features an elegant interface, beautiful templates, and incredible 24/7 customer support. Start building your website today at squarespace.com. Enter the offer code KINDOFFUNNY at checkout to get 10% off. Squarespace. Build it beautiful.
It reminds me of the days when my brother would just randomly show me his ball sack for no reason, which happened 2 weeks ago.
Those days never left. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the GameOverGreggy show. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the man who's seen his brother's ball sack more than Bulbasaur seen Charizard, Nick Scarpino.
Do they hang out in the same club? Bulbasaur? Maybe that's a question for Tim.
They're in the same ball.
They don't?
I heard Charizard's a full-blown racist and doesn't want to be around
anybody else.
Bulbasaurs. Yeah.
Over there.
Fair enough.
The pure one, Tim Gettys.
Hello.
The pride of Long Island, Colin Moriarty.
It's good to be here with
good
you
to be
today.
here with you as
Come back
well.
to me when you're done with your introductions. I have something to say.
Okay, good. And over here, a young gentleman named Alex Aziz.
Hi.
You went to patreon.com/kindoffunny, supported us at the level to come in this show. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We'll never be able to repay you,
Okay.
except by having you on this show.
I'm good with that.
Tim, is this one going to be worth $1?
Oh, this one's going to be goddamn.
We will
worth
literally
$1.
never be able to repay you.
This one's going to be
All
worth
sales are
$100.
No refunds.
All sales are final.
Oh, they are?
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah, you can't get out of it.
I have two things to say before we get going. Non sequiturs.
Sure.
The first thing is that last week on the podcast,
Yeah.
I blamed Tim for bringing up Star Wars in the conversation. Got mad at him for it, but I brought it up. Now, the intention behind what I was saying at the time was that he had reiterated what we were talking about with Star Wars, and then I was saying, well, that's actually a bad example for you to bring up. But I had brought it up, and it made it seem like I was yelling at Tim
Yeah.
for something he didn't do. So I want to
Okay.
apologize to Tim about that.
Accept it.
I saved that all day
Accept
for
it.
I saved
Thank
that all
you.
day for
I
Tim. I wanted to
appreciate that.
apologize to him earlier, but
You
I wanted everyone to know that, you
So you
know,
just let
that's
it,
good.
you let it fester for a week.
Yeah.
Tim's walking around this
Because I took the hit. I knew I was right.
No,
on
you did
that.
take the hit. You're
But
right.
I was like,
you did
all
take
right.
it. You're right, and I'm
Because
sorry.
I didn't want to turn it into the.
I'm
Like, you didn't say it, I didn't
I'm
say it.
extremely sorry. It was a brain fart
No,
on my
it's
part.
fine.
I
Things happen.
wasn't eloquent.
Things
I
happen.
wanted everyone to know because I was reading the comments and I hear you. You're right. You're right.
Hashtag you're right.
The second thing I wanted to say is that I was talking on the podcast last week about
Vampire Strike.
yeah. Oh god, we haven't done a Vampire Strike in a long time. Old podcast beyond reference. I was talking last week about someone in this industry telling me that this person wouldn't hire a person of a conservative slant. That person actually said to me that they wouldn't work for a person of a conservative slant, and for the sake of just clarity on that, even though
Did
you
that
know-
person reach out and correct
No.
him? Okay. You just remembered it.
Oh, I was listening to the show, and I'm like, I don't think actually, like, I think
you
I was
didn't express it correctly.
right, exactly. Like, so I just want to make sure that the record's clear
Okay.
on that as well. Well, because it's important. Accuracy is
Sure.
important. Yeah.
Still, though. Little extreme.
Yeah. No. Very, very extreme. Extremely outrageous.
Extremely extreme, some would say.
But I want to be accurate with what I was saying.
Okay.
Okay, that's it. I'm not going to say anything else for the rest of the show.
Sure, great.
Tell
So,
us,
Alex,
Yeah.
tell us about yourself. Where are you from?
I'm from North Carolina.
North Carolina.
my favorite of
Hill.
the Carolinas.
Yeah, it
Based
is
on
the better
nothing.
one.
North
It is the better
Carolina,
one.
raise up. Take your shirt off.
No.
Spin it around your head like a helicopter.
That guy is actually in jail now.
good. I can't. I
25
always.
to life for murder.
I don't.
Petey
The
Pablo.
song wasn't that good.
Petey
but-
Pablo.
Oh, I remember.
I used to,
Never
whenever
forget.
someone mentions North Carolina, I usually say that, and most people don't get it. So I'm glad you were right there with me.
Yeah,
That's why we get along.
I've-
That's why we're best friends.
I was there for that.
He
I was
there
in-
for that.
I
He
was-
lived through it. Did you live through the
Oh
Petey
my God.
Pablo
I didn't.
era?
I was in
Nick.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about right now.
I was in
some
elementary
weird
school when
Midwest
that
shit.
happened.
Oh Lord.
Yes.
How old are you?
23.
Good God damn it.
Yes. Yes. Well, I was in elementary school when that happened. It was nonstop.
Yeah, must have been
Non-
quit the event.
It was
All
exciting.
the
because no one
elementary
ever
school
talks about
kids
North Carolina.
taking their shirts off,
Yeah,
swinging
well,
them around.
it was one of those things. It was a rap song at the time. Rap was in an interesting place.
Yeah,
with,
it was.
with a lot of things happening. It was one of the few songs that literally had no words except for that,
Yeah.
and kids could yell them and not get in trouble.
Sure.
So we listened to it a lot.
That's
Gotcha.
good.
Yeah.
What was another Petey Pablo classic? Freak Leak? Was that him? I think he did.
I'm
Freak
trying
Leak.
to. No, that's Ja Rule.
No.
I'm the one I'm thinking of. He had
Pretty
one,
sure it's Freak Leak.
He had one that was on one of the Now CDs. You remember those?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
now that's what I call music.
Yeah.
You don't have to remember them. They're still making them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
I think they're
aware.
I think they're about to come up on Now
See,
69.
that's my gauge of age. I remember the infomercial, the first one, when it was 1, and now I go
You
on
remember
iTunes.
1?
I remember 1.
Oh,
I definitely lived through one. I don't know if I remember it.
See, again, infomercial on Nickelodeon. All I watched was Nickelodeon at the time. I remember all the Nows all the way up until right now when I go on iTunes and see Now 450. And
Yeah.
The fact they're still doing them now doesn't make any sense. Just buy the songs you want.
We're saying Now too much.
No, they can deal with it.
Well, that's what I call music.
I also say sure too much.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do.
We
He's
all
good.
have our.
It's
I
one of
talked
your
to someone about this
parlances.
on our NeoGaf thread because they point out these little parlances, right? And I'm like, you should try to talk for a living for 20 hours, and I'll listen to it, and then I'll pick out everything that you say over and over again. It's hard. It's difficult.
Someone made a bingo.
We are not professional.
A bingo page for us. You
We're
see that?
pretty professional-ish.
Well, I'm not.
You
You've
guys
been
are.
on your phone this entire fucking time.
I text one thing to Kevin.
I know, and he
And
texted
it
back.
took like 5 minutes.
I do
Kevin
want to have.
just went
I
like
do
this.
want to have a
Fight,
rule moving
fight, fight.
forward because the phone use is getting a little out of control. We're all guilty of it. So, yeah. All right. So,
I know you are. I know many are. Greg Miller's not.
no, you're probably maybe actually the worst of all of us.
Bullshit in a
But
half.
but
Mix at the stable.
Tom Hawkins, you're welcome to go through the last 3 episodes and compile.
Tom Hawkins is not your
Shout out to Tom
slave.
Hawkins.
He is now. But I was thinking about
Great
when some friends get together. I've been in groups of friends where we all put our cell phones in the middle of the table or just ignore them or whatever.
Yeah.
We should have something to have a reach to the outside world, like your iPad, if we have a question. Otherwise, we should put all our phones.
only
away.
issue-
I don't even have my phone on me right now.
The issue comes down is the fact that, of course, Kevin is stupid and won't get on iMessage.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that 9% of the messages Nick Scarpino gets is Kevin saying, move closer to the mic. Then they start sending GIFs, and then they're talking about
Yeah, I think
whatever
Kevin's
the
a
hell they
massive
talked about.
distraction on the show, and we all know it.
He's a
So
he's a
him not
glorious
having
distraction, though. He's like a Zeppelin. You just kind of stare at it for a while.
Are you
You don't really know
saying-
what it's up there for. You don't know what it's doing. It's kind of
What do
antiquated
you-
technology at this point, but it's beautiful.
Kevin, you have German roots, right?
Prove it. He's by way of
Probably.
what?
He says probably all the
Well, we were talking about this. This is not a secret. Yeah. Okay.
Why would it be a secret?
Some people might be ashamed of being German.
Wow, Kevin, are you ashamed of being German?
Oh.
Just
I
as
brought it up
FYI,
because you brought
that
up the
has to come
Zeppelin
faster.
and
Yeah, no, I feel it. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
What are we even doing on this
I
show?
don't know anymore.
talking.
Greg's
I wanna
berating me
drink.
for using my phone.
So,
I feel like he's
Alex,
phone
you brought
shaming
this.
me.
What is this? I'm bone
Bourbon.
shaming you?
Phone
I
shaming
went
me.
to a store I found last time I was here in San Francisco.
Which one is it?
I think it was called Cask.
We know Cask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Told
Yeah.
the guys it's their 100th episode. Give me something good. And
Thank you. It is the
they
100th
came
episode.
up. They came up with that, and I had to give them a little direction. You know, I like Eagle Rare makers and Woodford, so that's what they went on.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you very
so,
much.
So you like some weeded bourbons?
Yeah.
The Makers is weeded. Greg.
Yeah.
E.H. Taylor, good stuff. What does the H stand for?
The H?
The E.H.
Oh, and his name?
Mm-hmm.
Ernest
Mhm.
Hemingway.
Nope.
A lot of people didn't know before he blew his brains out, started a lucrative bourbon business.
True story.
Edmund Haynes.
No,
I
I
like
think you're
Greg's
wrong.
story better, yeah.
If only we could all use our phones to check, but we can't.
I'm staring at mine right
This
now.
new age.
The thing
It's the
is,
100th episode.
the thing
Mine's
is,
the
Colin
original
reigns
way.
supreme.
I might believe that about Ernest Hemingway.
Yeah.
That dude was nuts.
Oh, he drank a lot too. Yeah.
Yeah.
He
I
has
think
some-
if you just twist, bro, it'll come off.
I don't want this. I'm going to have to take this off later anyway because it's going to bother me. So
Who am
Understandable.
I talking to?
If you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Game Over Greggy show. Each and every week, 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather around this table. Each bring a random topic of discussion for your amusement. If you like that, head over to patreon.com/kindafunny. Like Alex did. Throw us a few bucks and you get every episode early. You don't like that? No big deal. Wait until the next week. Day by day, topic by topic, youtube.com/kindafunny. We post the show for your amusement before we put the entire thing up as one big MP3 and one big video. I will literally murder you if you did that. If you were to put your hand in my water, I'd
It's so
fucking...
big. The opening to your
What do
cup
you
is
mean?
so big.
Do you see how much I drink though? Like I
my
need it.
arm in that thing. Work
I'm really
around a
happy
little
that you
bit.
hit the table at the right time.
course.
I think you're the first person, the first guest to hit it.
Some
I've
people
watched
get
the
in here-
show about 99 times.
Yeah, that's good. That was good.
I like this kid.
Yeah, because usually the kids, they miss it like, fuck,
Yeah.
I was preparing
They
for
get
it.
caught up. They start listening. They think they're just here to listen to the show.
Yeah.
We bring
No.
you in and put you to work, as you know.
Yeah.
So it's episode 100.
Yes, it is.
We're all feeling very good. Your bourbon will make us feel better.
Which is 100
Hopefully.
proof.
Good job.
Is it?
You're winning a lot of points with
Oh.
Colin over there. No, act
It
like you
is.
knew, act
It
like you
is.
knew. Act like you knew.
I thought it was higher.
I'm fascinated by Colin right now. Colin is the most fascinating human being on this planet to me. He's got these lovely nuances. One of which is he is going to spend the next 2 hours scraping.
Yeah, do we eat the
The
drink it or
label
you
off
just
of
that
that.
worry? You can work it out through the show, get the plastic
Or
off
just,
of it.
rubbing alcohol.
Yeah, no, I'll do that later.
5 minutes.
Have Kevin do it.
Good.
You
Yeah.
get it back in a different bottle.
Want to smell? You want to smell?
I'm good.
No, you're all
I
right.
want to.
I know you
Smell it when I drink it.
do. You gotta get that bouquet.
Alex,
Yes.
what topic did you bring us today?
So, 100th episode. Figured we all might be feeling a little nostalgic.
Mhm,
And so, why don't we talk about nostalgia as an emotion?
Ooh.
Very interesting one.
My favorite emotion.
Can be very good, very bad at other times, I thought it'd be fun to discuss some experiences, what makes you nostalgic, and how you deal with it.
Okay. I want you to start with the bad nostalgia. What's the bad nostalgia?
The bad nostalgia. So, I just graduated from college.
Sure.
Having
You're
a
a
lot
young
of it
buck.
recently when I realized there's parts of my life that are gone forever. And as much as I enjoyed them and I'm glad they're done,
Nick smelled the bourbon.
Sorry about that, Alex.
You know what? Just go
apologies.
back to checking your phone.
there's a little bit of hurt there, realizing that you'll never be back to that point
Oh,
in your
sure.
life.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know? And when you are going through changes in life, like graduating, I recently moved to a new city. I moved to Austin from North Carolina.
Definitely step up.
Good move.
It is, but I know no one there.
Oh, okay.
I leap of faith.
Sure.
I'm meeting people there, and that's all good. But I left all my friends. One of my best friends, who I've known since we were in the first grade.
Yep.
A little bit of remembering those kind of things. It hurts a little bit, but it's also a good thing.
Sure.
So those are the kind of feelings I'm talking.
So you're like bittersweet.
Very much so.
Not
That's
bad.
not. Sometimes
Pangs,
it's bad. Sometimes it's bad.
heartstrings.
Sometimes
I
it is bad when you realize there's some things like, interestingly enough, listening to old episodes of Podcast Beyond, it's like I remember exactly I was in the Clock Tower Lounge at UNCW pretending to do homework while really listening to Beyond.
Yeah.
And like, oh man, I wish I was that kid again.
See, okay, so first off, cheers to 100 episodes.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Your visit, of course.
Yeah.
There you go. You guys with your waters and your Starbucks cups. You disgust me.
That's good.
That was very good. Excellent.
Okay.
Saucy.
So I guess what's interesting for you is that you left college and then just blew it up immediately, right? So you're out of town. You're totally away from everything, which I guess happens to a lot of people. Because like I'm nostalgic and miss college every so often. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But I'm an old fucking man compared to you. You know what I mean? Like when I left Mizzou, I stayed in Columbia for a year and a half, worked at the paper, was still around local establishments before I came out to IGN, which was my dream job. So it was like, I understand what you're saying. I see, but I still feel like saying it brings up bad feelings.
Well, see, here's the thing. College at the end of it, I think all my friend group will agree with it. It overstayed its welcome.
Really?
Yes, we had our senior year was started out great, and then just spiraled. It much like
Did y'all get jobs and girlfriends? That's usually what gets you.
Yeah, it was a combination of things. There's some very personal stuff for other people, so I don't.
How many DUIs were in the group?
None.
Okay.
Thank God.
My guess is it's very close to my college, which was a lot of my friends started quickly getting married, which was weird. Did you ever have that?
During the
See, that
No,
was,
I had like my friends like a
I will
year
touch
after
on
like,
it briefly.
I'm getting married.
So-
I'm like, oh shit.
there was a scare about this because one of our friends' girlfriends was so insane, and clearly it was a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But it was looking like they were going to run away and get married. So that
Classic.
that was the thing.
Classic,
We all
your
kind of
friend.
had that one house we hung out in, which was right behind school, and I lived in one of the apartments on campus, and I was like walking distance, so I halfway lived there because living on
Yeah,
campus
naturally.
sucks. And I was there for all of it, and just watching the kind of spiral, and constantly all of us saying, like, we need to leave, we need to get out of here. It's over. It's gone bad, like abandoned ship.
Jesus.
Well, it did. We all had some bad nights and had to face some problems about ourselves. It was good for us, but was not pleasant.
Yeah.
We had to take our medicine and
Man, yours was heavy.
Yeah.
My last year of college was like a victory lap.
oh,
It's like, oh man,
No.
I only got 300 more days of drinking like this and being stupid.
They're like, right when I graduate, I'll never have another alcoholic beverage.
that was the problem too. It was like the minute we all realized like maybe we shouldn't do this anymore was we decided to do our usual, get drunk, play Rock Band.
Yeah,
That was our
nice.
staple. We had a projector in the living room.
Nice.
So it was, pretty epic. And then we played a couple songs. We kind of weren't feeling it. Someone says, let's watch a movie. Let's watch Requiem for a Dream.
Oof. Jesus.
And at this point, I didn't have to be anywhere the next day. You know what I mean?
I was setting in for the ride.
I was like, sure, why not? And then, finished some beers, moved on to old fashions. As watching that movie, getting as drunk as they are, like their life is descending. It's just a very interesting experience of like looking at yourself while looking at them, and you just realizing I am too drunk for this, and then waking up the next day and being like, I gotta slow down.
Yeah.
I gotta change some shit.
Yeah, I cannot drink, and the hangover lasted for 3 days, so I realized I can't drink like that anymore.
Yeah.
I feel like that sticks with you, though. I feel like that's kind of just the natural cycle of life, right? Where you experience something that's new, and then after 4 years of like burning it out as hard as humanly possible, you wake up one day and you just have that epiphany. You're like, I'm becoming an adult. I don't necessarily need this experience, which has been great. But the more and more you try to chase that high, so to speak, metaphorically speaking, the more and more you're like, I think I might be wasting my life a little bit, and I think maybe it's time to move on. But that's just
Definitely.
life. But that does play in, and I hear you on when you start letting nostalgia sort of lead your actions, that's when it can become dangerous, right? When you start thinking to yourself, oh, those times were so great, let's go back and relive them. That's when you run the risk of looking back and seeing those times for almost through a more clear lens where you're like, these were just the normal shenanigans of college students, and I'm beyond this. And because I see it all the time now, I live in the city in a fairly young area where a lot of college students, right when they graduate, they want to live because there's a lot of bars and a lot of partying happening. And I see that where I'm like, oh, I remember those days. And now I'm seeing these two people that moved in next door to me throw parties. And it just, seeing it from the outside in, we're like, remember when we all used to party at like Spence's house and we'd go crazy and like piss off the neighbors who just had a kid? I'm that neighbor now. And now I'm finally looking down and going like, that does not look fun. They just look like they're just a hot mess, and not in the good term. I guess there's a good way to use that term, but not really.
There's not really a good way.
They just look like a hot mess.
It's accurate how you're using it.
They look like they're on any number of substances, and I'm just like, God, you guys got to get some sleep, man. You're gonna be. And then the next day they're always hungover, and they do it again, and I'm like, you guys are just tearing your bodies apart with this stuff. It just does not look good.
Then they're like, did you see that guy next door who just came back with more Taco Bell?
Oh no! Don't get me wrong. I have no leg to stand on, but that's the thing. I mean, I think you do. I would love to go back to those days where I'm like, especially the days for me, I get nostalgic with the days when I first started IGN and met all you guys, and we all, not you, Tim, because you weren't born yet, but when I first started there and the team was really small and everyone was kind of new and everyone was super energized about it, and I moved from Southern California to Northern California, so everything was brand new. And it was a huge chance that I took, not knowing if my coworkers or anyone was going to be friendly. It's similar to what you're experiencing right now. Like, you just don't know. And then I've met this awesome group of people that totally took me in, and we had a great time together. But there's no going back to that. Like, we're on to the next adventure now. And so if I tried to recreate that, I would just be a 35-year-old man at the comic club. Just
The comic club.
Just creeping. Just creeping. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's funny you say that because I haven't seen much change.
No,
That
it's
sounds
a
pretty
change
accurate.
in the mindset, right? It's
Okay,
like,
the mindset, sure.
It's you go out
the
like
creep,
you
the
used to-
comic club, the you.
Oh, I'm always a creeper.
That's all there.
I'm always a creeper.
You're still going to the comic club?
No, but it's
I haven't been in the comic
it's
club in 7
3
years.
blocks
bro.
away from where I live, so it's
So he's
not
not
that
going,
far.
but he's also not going, you know?
I walk by every once in a while, and every once in a while, because it's the same bouncer that used to work there back in the day. He's a really nice guy, and he remembers me. So every once in a while, I'll stop and talk to him for a second. He's like, "You coming in?" I'm like, "Nah, I'm not coming in today." And it's different people, but the same cast of characters that are
definitely.
drunkenly walking up and going, "I want to dance," and then he's like, "It's a $10 cover." They're like, "What, for this place? That's fucked up." And then eventually they come back. It's a whole rigmarole, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, the things that make me truly nostalgic are the things that from a way simpler and younger time in my life, which was the years probably 0 to 10, the 80s for me, the time when you're seeing so many different things happening culturally, and you're becoming aware of those things, and those are the things I look back and think of very, very fondly, specifically given that Star Wars is coming back out, and it's bringing up all, like, I purposely have I've had to come to terms with this thing that's happened in my brain where I'm like, I want to shut off from this because I don't know if I can I'm a little scared of the nostalgic emotion that it evokes a little bit.
Like when you teared up watching the trailer.
And then I watch the trailer and I'm like, no, it's still there.
That trailer.
All that defense that I've set up is just very much on the surface level. Everything below that is a kid hoping to God that this movie is as good as he remembers it, or hoping that it can evoke that feeling, that emotion in me that I had the first time seeing, like, the end of Jedi, where you're like, oh wow, this is it, and then you're like, there's no more. This is it. I got to go back and watch all three of them again and again and again. Mm-hmm. And then we got the Phantom Menace, which, thank God for that. Really kind of just really did it for me. You know what I mean, Cole?
I love that you waited for it.
It was building up. Metachlorians. I got to get them all out right away.
To me, what am I nostalgic about? I'm nostalgic about everything. And I am a deeply, deeply nostalgic person. This is something my family talk about, and why my people in my family think I have such a deep connection to history, because I just like old things and things that happened already, and like being in places where old things happen to me or to other people or wherever it is. So it could be a battlefield from the Revolution, or it could be like my grandfather's basement. But like, I'm gonna go down there and start tearing through old shit. Like I'm nostalgic for places and times I didn't even experience. That's why I think the Wonder Years is so powerful. Like, you're really a sucker for nostalgia when you're nostalgic for shit you didn't even experience.
It's shit that happened in the 70s, 5 years before you were born.
But like, my nostalgia runs deep. It's strange because it is me, so I guess it's not that strange because I'm a really strange person. But like, I just lay around sometimes and there's a nostalgic switch that goes off in my head at night, usually when I'm in bed, and I well up a little bit in my heart, like my, and I'm just like, I miss these old times, and I'm not even sure why I miss anything I'm talking about. Like, I have weird nostalgic things happening to me all the time. I just like interacting with things that have already happened or things that are old. A story I've told my friends before is when I was dating this girl in college for several years, I went to see her family in Connecticut, and I went to her grandmother's house, and she had this bathroom that no one ever used. And I went in there and I could use the bathroom whenever, and I was going through all this old stuff, and there was like all this old like shampoo and conditioner and stuff from the 80s. And I was like, this is so... First, it was 2005. I remember it was the summer of 2005. And
a weird story.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm like, this makes me nostalgic of this white rain bottle that's half used.
Yeah.
With 1987 on the back of it. I'm like, who used this? And where did this come from? And is it still good? And then I used it and it wasn't really good anymore. I'm like, there's like just weird, like, I'm just like, so literally anything can set me off. Like anything that's old can set me off. My grandfather and my grandmother died, and we went through their house on Long Island to sell it, which was a mistake, since the market was weak at the time and very strong now. Whatever.
You're nostalgic for your bad real estate deals.
Well, it's fine. I mean, it's money, but I remember just going through, like, I was there for days. Like, I left college for like a week and was just there, like, going through tons and tons of shit, old notes between my grandma and grandpa, like just things. Like, I remember there was a whole shoebox. You know when you go to Catholic funerals, you get those cards. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a whole shoebox. Yeah, prayer cards. The whole shoebox full of them from the 50s and 60s and stuff. I'm like, this is just crazy nostalgic. Everything about it. Everything, I think back about my childhood, of course. I mean, that's the most nostalgic thing. About watching Ninja Turtles when it was on, when the episode was new. Yeah. I remember that. I was there. I remember, getting my first 311 album when it came out. I was there. It happened. I remember getting, when GameCube came out, it even, what's crazy that I realized about nostalgia is that it never stops. Like, now I look back at 2010 and I'm like, man, those were the days, but they really weren't. To your point, you didn't like your senior year. Junior and senior year at Northeastern were like the best days of my life.
I feel like I should jump in and say, it wasn't that we didn't like it. It's just that shit hit the fan.
No, I understand that. Yeah, things were unfortunate. I had some bad experiences when I was a senior too, but I would kill to go back for one more day. You know what I mean? I would.
Oh, of course.
You will never get those days back. Kids in college or high school going to college, enjoy that fucking time. That's all I'm saying. One kid on the Facebook group yesterday was talking about how he likes this girl and he's 19 and all this, and I'm like, dude, like, you are not even getting started yet. You have no idea what's about to happen over the next year. So just
enjoy it.
Soak it in. Because I wrote, I was like, I'm 31 now and I might as well be dead. And I got a bunch of thumbs up, of course, because it was funny. But I'm not even really being that facetious. I'm like, there comes a point in your time where nostalgia is always gonna be better than what's ahead of you. It's like the grass is always greener.
Yeah, 10 years you're gonna look back to when we all worked out of this bedroom.
Yeah,
those were the days.
And we'll probably still be working out of this bedroom.
Oh no. I like the false nostalgia. I remember getting all sad leaving my college, the house I shared with, all my best friends or whatever. And I remember leaving and shutting the door and getting teared up and being like, I'm never going to live with my best friends again. And here I am, trapped in a fucking goddamn 20-year-old's life until we get out of San Francisco. Yeah. You know what I mean? For me, it's sights and it sounds and it smells and it's that. You know what I mean? Like this trip, I just came back from Nashville. And I got in a couple days early to go do Nashvilleian stuff that I wanted to do and didn't want to put on my friends or whatever. And so I finished dinner at this one point. I was going to go to the Bluebird, but I had time to kill. So I walked down to Vanderbilt's campus and was just walking around. And it's really huge campus, really wooded and not a lot of light. So there's a lot of nature. So we're going and I'm walking on this campus and I stopped and just stood there and listened. And I could hear crickets and bugs. And I was just like, I had forgotten that I had forgotten this stuff existed, so I didn't even know that I was missing it until I was there being nostalgic for it while I was in it. Of like, I'm gonna go back to San Francisco and I'm not gonna have that. And it was the same thing when we rented an Airbnb when my friends from Mizzou got there, which is another huge trip of nostalgia, being back with all your high school friends going to a football game, or college friends going to a college game. But I it was really hot in my room, so I left the window open in the morning. It was raining, and not like the fucking rain we get in San Francisco that's just like constant mist and garbage, but like a normal rain shower everybody else takes for granted. And like hearing it hit trees and leaves and the grass and all the stuff. And like then there was we went out and we just sat on the porch that had like a ramshackled roof, and we were barbecuing and drinking and stuff, and it was hitting that and like the pitter patter of that, and just like I haven't heard this in forever because I'm not in a building where my room is the roof. You know what I mean? Like when you were growing up or whatever, when it was a different story or in college or something to that effect. And it was just like, fuck. Like these are smells and sights and sounds. And it took me back as far as like 5th grade outdoor ed. You know what I mean? Like our first like real trip. Like all the kids got on. Like your entire class got on and went up to, I don't even fucking remember, Wisconsin. And it was like a wooded area and it was raining the whole time. And that sight and that sound, it's like so cool.
Yeah, I college is powerful in that way. I mean, I hadn't been back to Northeastern since when we went to PAX East this year is when I went back, and that was one of the most nostalgically powerful hour and a half I ever had before I met up with you guys, when I just went early and walked around, and everywhere I looked on that campus, there was a memory. Yep. A bench where I had a funny conversation with someone, or a stairs into a freshman dorm where a girl broke up with me, or and everywhere. And I was sending pictures to my Ramon and Chris, my close group of friends, and it was just so powerful. And I think that I never really talked about it with you guys, but we went to Connor's, which was one of our old bars that we used to go to, and I was so overwhelmed being there. I was like, I can't believe I'm back in this place. Oh again. No, I know. I walked out of this place and never came back, and it was nothing had changed at all. Right. Nothing had changed at all. It was incredible.
That last trip I took to Mizzou, where I was the keynote speaker at that high school conference, right? Like going back there and going back there was some, like I've been back to Mizzou a lot, and obviously just like you're saying, right? Like every time we're tailgating this spot, I think of these memories, or if I'm in Shakespeare's or this, that, or the other. But to go back then and be like invited into classes to speak and still feel like I'm a kid in those classes, but have to come in with that authoritative thing, that was crazy. And then the last trip I was there for, right, was the one where they had just announced that the original Shakespeare's that, from 1976 that I obviously was a part of or whatever for college, but it was my time, is being demolished. They're building a high rise. Shakespeare's will be in the bottom floor. They're taking plank by plank. It'll look the same. I knew that was the last time that was going to be the Shakespeare's that I grew up with, or my Mizzou experience. And I'll never forget, I was over at the Tiger Hotel there, which was mind blowing to stay in the Tiger Hotel because I always wanted to do that when I was there. Now it's super nice. But I was staying there and I went to bed, and I was getting picked up at 5 for this ride to the airport, and it was already midnight or whatever, and I sat there and I laid in bed for like 10 minutes and finally just got up, got dressed again, went down to the campus, sat on the columns, took photos of myself on the columns, took photos of the quad, and then went to Shakespeare's and got like my final beer at Shakespeare's. You know what I mean? Like everybody's there is just like chilling out. I'm like having such a like experience with my cup full of beer, my plastic cup full of Boulevard wheat, and I was like, oh my God.
That's so funny.
And this was kind of what I was shooting for, is It seemed like when we started talking, everyone was like, oh, what do you mean bad? But I think we've really drilled down to the point of like, this is where it is. It starts out, you remember things and they feel good, but it also, it hurts a little bit.
For me, it's different because I feel like nostalgia completely drives my entire life. Like I feel like it's probably the most important motivation in terms of emotions for me. Specifically, where everything I do, all my interests, like I haven't liked something new in like 15 years. Everything I like is just
Not true.
iterations on.
Fast and Furious is only like 7 years old.
No, it's like
way
15
older
years
than that.
old.
I remember seeing that in fucking high school, and we were like, "Oh, they're using Rhino's theme from fucking ECW in this," because we were getting laid left and right.
Yes. But yeah, no, things like that. Like Fast and Furious is actually a great example. Like I'm very nostalgic over that franchise, specifically back with like Tokyo Drift. Like I remember the group of, or even before that, Too Fast, Too Furious. Even before that, the first one. Like all
Never
those
forget
movies.
Too Fast, Too Furious.
Yeah, exactly.
Never forget.
But I mean, I never will. Like going to the theater with the group of people that I went with at that time. Like those are the same people that to this day I'm like best friends with. And so it's funny because like I am different than you guys in that that stuff never left me. I never left it. Like it's all still there for me. The things that I'm nostalgic about, I'm nostalgic about Kevin. Like there's not a day that goes by where there's not something where that a conversation we have reminds me of conversations we've had, you know, or like when we go to Gordo's burrito taqueria to get burritos, like that is the place that I'm nostalgic over. So like the taste of that burrito, that is my childhood. That is all of that stuff. And a lot of it has to do with me not leaving San Francisco. But also recently I moved in with my best friend Curran, and we grew up playing Smash Bros. And the last couple weeks, maybe like 1 out of every 3 nights, we'll just come over to my room and be like, yo, a couple matches. And we just start playing, and I'm just like, it might as well be Smash 64, you know? And even more than that stuff, there's just like, you know, the movies that come out, like the Transformers movies, or the now there's a new Power Ranger movie that's coming out, or like all the things that would get me excited. Digimon is coming back as a sequel series to the originals that like I grew up with. It's like all that stuff is the things that make me excited, and for no reason really. Disneyland's a perfect example. Why do I love Disneyland? The entire thing is this fabricated experience to make you believe the most intense emotions possible of your memories of what you loved. You know, it's like, all right, let's take all those movies that you loved when you were a kid, play the music really loudly, and have fucking light shows and fireworks everywhere. Yeah. It's like, to me, sound, like you were saying, sounds and smells and all that stuff. That is really what kind of defines the emotions, is those memories and the places of being somewhere. But I think it's crazy that we have, like what Colin's talking about, we have nostalgia for places we've never been. You know, like Disneyland's an example of like, it brings you into these worlds that you never were in, but like you feel like you're part of it. You know, seeing the Star Wars trailers, hearing the music, it's like you feel like you're home.
Yeah, but you still have a touchstone to when you initially viewed those things, and I think that's the importance of nostalgia. That's why that emotion is so intense, was because it kind of reminds you that your life on this planet has an end date, you know, and that every time you look back, you're like, I'm actually really far away from my childhood, and those were very, very important years for me. And you relive them, but it's always bittersweet because you're like, I'll never get that time back. And part of me actually is just a little disappointed that I didn't fucking like just enjoy, like to Colin's point, like enjoy it while it was happening, because you're like, this is just my life.
I guess that's where I differ from you guys. That's what I'm saying, is like, I don't think it's so bitter. I feel like that stuff makes me happy, and it's like I feel like I get excited about things. I get really excited about things.
Well,
even if I don't think they're going to be good.
Still get excited about things. There's plenty of things from my childhood that I still love. It's just when I think back on Harry Potter, for instance, which not even my childhood. That's like, I mean, I'm in my 20s at this point, or maybe
grown-ass man.
Yeah, grown-ass man. But I look at that and I'm like, that was just a moment in my life where something was very, very important to me, and it happened to be over a long period of time, but it ended. And so I didn't realize it at the time how important it was until it was done.
You took it for granted.
Yeah, I took it for granted. And, you know, now and there's just no going back to that. And I think that's the basis of nostalgia, that it teaches you to really kind of appreciate what you have right now, because, you know, 10 years from now, you're going to look back at this room, at this situation, and go, fuck, it was a really good time in our lives.
Yeah, it's true. And I think it goes back to the point that some nostalgia is negative, or I think even nostalgia could have always a negative, or usually a negative connotation, in the sense that it's, at least for me, where it's never 100% positive. There is always a little bit of a negative kind of slant to it, in the sense that, man, it was better then than it is now.
See, I wish I could do it.
I wish, but I mean, that's it's not that I always look at something like that, but I think about the house I grew up in on Long Island that we don't own anymore, is big, you know, colonial house with a beautiful in-ground pool and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, I wish I just enjoyed it more when I had it. You don't realize what you have until it's not there anymore. And I think so. It's positive memories, and then it's sad or lukewarm memories, or it makes you a little lethargic and shit sometimes when I think about it, because I really do live in the past in my head. I do. The books I read are in the past. The music I read or the music I listen to is often older and brings me back to a place, you know. I'm addicted to the sports that I grew up, really enjoying and remember those days, those glory days. I'm a huge Islanders fan. The Islanders won 4 Stanley Cups in a row before I was born, but I talk about them as if I was there, but I wasn't, and so there is something about nostalgia that I think is inherently, not for everyone or not in every situation, but there is inherently a negative connotation to it in the sense that it's like, man, those were the days, but isn't today supposed to be the day? That's why I always wonder. It's like everyone's like, no regrets. I live with no regrets. I have no regrets. And I'm like, how is that possible? How is it possible? I have every day I have a regret. I don't think there's a day I go through in my life where I don't have to regret something. And that also there's an element of nostalgia to that too. If you felt like you were living perfectly day to day, you would never think back.
But the strange thing is, you wouldn't give any of it up for the world. Even every single one of those memories that you think you should have lived it more at the time or anything. It's only good because you did exactly what you did.
Yeah. That's what I think.
That's the strange thing about it. It's a very complicated emotion. A friend of mine, in typical college fashion, told me this unsighted, and it's stuck with me, whether it's true or not. He said the root of the word means the pain from a past wound.
I think that's true,
and it kind of is. It's.
See, I think I get it. I when I think back and I talk about like, oh, I miss these bugs, I miss these. I miss these.
I was a huge bug enthusiast.
Oh my god!
I was called Bugs growing up because I was cute as a bug's ear.
Were you really?
Yeah. It wasn't until I went to school and had to write my name that I understood Gregory was like my real name.
It's just like peeling back an onion. You know what I mean? There's just so many layers to the
story.
Fucked
up onion ever. Yeah.
It's so beautiful. Bugs is the kid.
Bugs is a kid. Yeah.
I don't know how I didn't know that.
How did you not know that?
I don't
We're
know.
100 episodes into the show. That was mentioned at least 25 of those episodes.
How many?
That you were called the Bugs?
Yes.
I've never heard that.
I've never heard that either. I've never heard that either.
Where's the Bugs?
Hey, it's me.
Not only have we done 100 episodes of this show, Greg and I did like 300 episodes of Podcast Beyond, and I've lived together with him for 5 years. So I feel like I should know that.
Yeah.
But I don't.
I'm writing this down.
Yeah, please.
I have to.
I understand what we're saying. I think it's the longing for what was, but I don't think of it I'm with Tim. I don't think of it in a negative way or like when I say like I have no regrets or whatever, I mean like what we're talking. It's the same conversation we're having now, where it's like every choice has gotten me here. That's what I always tell my friends, right, when they'll talk to me about stuff, that I don't regret anything. So getting back in this, I look it up on the iPad.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, I want to know because I do remember the root of nostalgia, the Latin root of it being something negative. I feel
like I might have heard it at the same time as you guys talked about it on a show, because something else I wanted to bring up. You have ridiculously, it's uncanny the timing, the topics you guys talk about, how they would happen in my life.
It's funny that a lot of people say that stuff, and that's cool. I mean, I think that just shows that we just have conversations that everyone else has. Yeah. So it's like when we're having them, someone else is having it too.
Well, what's really interesting is that you told me on Skype you wanted to do nostalgia as your topic, and I was like, all right, cool. And then I was like, what's everybody's topics today? And Colin goes, I'd like to talk about nostalgia.
Yeah,
like,
so you want to talk about
right
uncanny. All right, so the origin, the definition is a noun, a sentimental longing or wistful attraction or affection rather for the past, typically for a period or place with happy personal associations. Something done or presented in order to evoke feelings of nostalgia. The origin is Greek nostos, return home, and Greek algos, pain.
Return home pain.
The German for nostalgia is hemwa, which is homesickness.
Sounds like they should have just named Going Home Nostalgia then.
And then when nostalgia entered English lexicon from the German in the late 18th century, it meant acute homesickness. So there is a negative connotation that's become positive over time.
Okay,
interesting.
Just a very interesting emotion.
It is a fascinating emotion. I can relate because I did want to talk about it today, which is so weird. It really does dictate my life, but not always in a positive way. I'm really in my mind. I mean, you guys know me very well. I'm often in my mind, and I do think that the power of nostalgia compelled me at a very early age to love history and to love old things. What?
Yeah. No,
you said that the way you said it. Me and Tim nearly jumped to The Exorcist.
Yeah,
the power of Christ. The power of nostalgia.
I got to so the house that I grew up in for the first 18 years of my life, which is like 10 blocks that way. Recently, we saw was on sale for like $1.2 million, just the top floor. We used to have the whole house.
Yeah.
And I was like, me and my friend was like, holy shit, like
we gotta buy it.
Well, that was option one. We're like, can we buy this? We can't buy this. If you support us on Patreon, but
we just need another $100,000.
We were really trying, like we were looking into that, but then it was like, oh, there's an open house. We should go check it out. And it's crazy because I haven't been in that house at this point almost 10 years.
Yeah.
And the outside they repainted. It was blue. It was a beautiful blue. Now it's some like puke green. It's like, guys, what are you doing? But I haven't seen the inside of it.
Yeah.
The inside of it, like it was never that great. I mean, the space was great, but like the rooms were kind of like shitty and stuff. It was totally renovated, and so it was like the weirdest thing where it's so familiar and so different. Like there was a room that was just gone because they bulldozed down one of the wall to make like the kitchen bigger, but then the kitchen was like gorgeous, and I'm like, this is fucking nuts.
Yeah.
And everything was new, but it still felt so familiar. And the weirdest thing was that it felt so small. Huge house.
Yep.
Fucking giant house, but it felt small because
you were not an adult there.
Yeah. And it was just, that was nuts. But then the craziest thing is it was so renovated and so nice, but then I'd look down and there was still like little scratch marks on the like
That's awesome.
near the ground. And I was like, oh my God, that's from the TV cart that we would bump into the wall that had my fucking Super Nintendo on it on the fucking CRT TV, and it would just keep fucking hitting the thing, and there's marks there, and it's like no one will ever know that shit.
Yeah.
But I took pictures of all of it. I'm just like, and then I showed. What's crazy is like it was zoomed in, and I showed a couple of my friends. They instantly knew. They're like, oh shit. I'm like,
TV cart.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Well, that's the power of nostalgia, because I have the opposite situation where that colonial house that I grew up in. I went back and visited my friend, and he knew the guy that lived there, and we were at some sort of like block party, and he's like, you want to check out the house? And I was like, all right. So I walked in or whatever, and they were like ripping down the wallpaper and the carpets up and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't want to be in here. And I'm like, I can't be in here.
You're killing it.
Because to the weird point of this, well, for what you're talking about, the scratch marks, when we moved out of that house, we all went into the attic and all wrote our names, like, but on the back of beams. So like you wouldn't even know they were there unless you were like in the corner and then faced outward. And I always wondered if like no one's ever seen those.
Yeah. I think I hid a note in our old house in the closet. Same thing.
Yeah, and I used to do that in every dorm room I lived in at Northeastern.
I'd write, note say, "I'm still here."
The ghosts will get you.
In every dorm room at Northeastern, I'd get my chair and write on the top of the door. So like where the door, like the top of it, I would write like my initials and the date or whatever when I was there. And I'm like, no one will ever see this until these doors come down when they renovate this building in 25 years or whatever. But there's just something powerful about the simplicity and nostalgia too. Those same guys that I was mentioning when I went to that person's house, I went and visited them in college. They're brothers, and they were good friends of mine when I was growing up. And I haven't been in their house in years, many years. Like I moved in '97. This was 2006, so I hadn't been in their house in like 10 years. And I walked around like everything was the same. I remember talking to his mom, and she was like showing me around, like everything's the same. The stove's the same. The sink's the same. The fixtures are the same. And then like, what did we do? Like we were a little older, so we got fucked up. And then we like played our favorite board game, which is that game Solar Quest that I love. Yeah. And then we went out drunkenly at like 2 a.m. and played wiffle ball that like we used to. And then like we woke up the next morning, went out into the street and played hockey for a little while. So like we're grown ass men.
Yeah.
And it was so simple. And my dad came and like picked me up like he would, back in the day. That I was home from college, and he's like, "How was it?" And I'm like, "It was awesome. We didn't do any like." He's like, "What did you do?" Expect I'm like, "We played wiffle ball." And he's like, "Really?" And I'm like, "Yeah, just like the old days, and that whiz of the ball and that ball hitting that fence." That same fucking fence that was there when I was in the late 80s, same one.
That's just fucking insane.
Yeah, and I'm like, that. It was one of the most simple yet powerful experiences I had ever had in my life. I will never forget that day.
You talking about the wiffle ball sound reminds me of like from my old house, there's a 7-Eleven that was 2 blocks away, and that was like the walk. Like no matter how old I was, me and my friends were walking up and down the thing, or skateboarding or scootering or whatever. And being on a skateboard or a scooter and going down the hill, like the sounds of the sidewalk, the whatever, it was so specific, and it's only to that 2 blocks. And when I hear that, I'm like, I know that it's that 2 blocks.
Yeah. And
that's really fucking crazy. The dumb little things. Or like when you just looked at this house, it was totally renovated, but some of the doorknobs were the same doorknobs they used to be. Who the fuck cares? Like, no one should care about that. That shouldn't be something that makes anyone go, oh shit. But my friend looked at it and goes, dude, it's the same doorknobs. And like, I got super excited. And it's like, why? And I looked at it, I'm like, man, like I remember those doorknobs. But it's like, if you would ask me out, fucking doorknobs, I don't know. But
everything meant
10,
so
15
much,
years,
right? You spent so much time there. It all meant so much. Yeah, in 10, 15 years, we could, but we're not going to remember those doorknobs.
But that's what I'm saying is maybe we will. Because
it's one of those things where we'll remember the lock I broke, right? When I had cancer and got all mad and slammed the door and broke the lock.
I'll remember that.
Yeah. I'm sure you will. You'll never let me live down any of my mistakes.
No, never.
Yeah, I've noticed.
Be better.
The avocados were mine. The avocados were mine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, keep telling yourself that.
They were. You're fucking counting your avocados
Grandma
on the
Georgina
clock.
in the fucking bedroom
do we
comes
need to
out.
leave so you guys can work this out?
No, we do this publicly. Don't worry.
Okay.
Everyone knows he's wrong.
Can I not be in the crossfire?
No, you got it. You're the guest. You have to be the buffer.
You gotta roll through it.
We'll talk
I've
later.
been through some
Yeah, we
crazy
will.
shit, but
I'm looking forward to being nostalgic
not a
about this
couple
later.
squabble.
I hope you
Do
throw
we
out
need
some
to
more of
get
my
you 2
turkey.
stickers?
That did happen.
Stickers.
To put on the things.
Well, the avocados maybe. Maybe that's the avocado
If
feature.
we just get little G's and little C's, and you guys can put little stickers on your stuff. And
Just
Colin
put
would love
them
that.
in different bowls.
You're thinking about it now, aren't you?
I wouldn't want that at all. I just want Greg to remember that I bought 2 avocados and he ate them.
This is one of those rare instances that I know everyone in the room, and you'll know by the end of the day, but everyone in the room knows when Colin is wrong, but he won't admit that he's wrong. Mm-hmm. He's wrong about the 2 avocados. We only bought 2 and we hadn't eaten them yet. We'd gone shopping 2 days before. Grandma Georgina did not eat any. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The turkey was my mistake and I apologize for it.
But let's end it on this note.
Be good.
Let's end it on this note. Be better. But let's end it on a better note. None of you can ever say that you obsessed over a half-empty bottle of White Rain shampoo from 1987 in your girlfriend's bathroom in 2005, in your girlfriend's grandma's spare bathroom in 2005. So just know the power of nostalgia goes far deeper than you might even expect.
The real conundrum of this whole topic has been that we've all said that you look back 10 years, you're like, oh, those were the days. I wish I'd give it all up for one more day. Which means even now we need to live that way, because in 10 years we'll look back and listen, we're all mad at Kevin about something, doing something dumb.
But the thing is,
I got this guy not able to count out fucking avocados and I want to kill him. I should stop wanting to feel those emotions, but he brings them out in me. We should just let it go.
But that's the fun of it.
But that's the point too, and that's the power of nostalgia to me, is that I've never gone through my life in the moment and been like, I'm not living right, because I don't think that I've not gone an extended period of time not living right. Sure, you're a little depressed sometimes. Sure, you should have gone to that party instead of staying home, whatever. But generally, it's really all facade. That's the point. And I think that's why nostalgia is an inherently negative thing sometimes, because it's just like everything was always better and it wasn't. And if we can go back to those days and live a week when you were a little, what was it, Bugs? You might be like, this sucks.
Cute as a bug's ear. What the fuck does that mean?
Oh no, let's not fucking act like cute as a bug's ear makes so much.
If I was a Googling on the iPad,
I have to jump in and defend him. That is a thing. I've heard that one.
No, just this is like Colin's bullshit with the fucking Halloween Eve. Just because 2 people are wrong doesn't mean.
Hey, but we're in different regions of the country, so that counts.
Yeah, and so I've
Chicago,
I've heard that one.
So the Halloween thing.
No, that's just an excuse to go throw things at.
Yeah, okay.
You know what? I'm not going to incriminate myself.
Yeah, no, that's
good. my mom and my aunt are watching. No, I didn't do it. You can't prove it.
Alex didn't do anything, Mom. Don't worry about her aunt.
You'll never find the fireworks.
Nice. That was a great topic.
Thank you.
You're a natural at this.
That's a word for it.
Do you podcast a lot?
No.
Okay. You should. You should think about it.
Well, one of my friends is moving to Austin. We'll see what happens.
There you go. Done. That's it. Also, there's these guys at Rooster Teeth. They always do podcasts. You should go over there and ask if you can podcast them.
Just knock on the door. They'll love that.
I don't know. I've never really heard of them.
Yeah.
They're
not that big.
Of course, that topic was brought to you by Alex. But I do need to shove in a plug here, as always. We'll say it's also brought to you by kindafunny.com/store. If you're listening to this on the Friday the full episode goes live, or the Monday, or the Tuesday beforehand, it's T-shirt Tuesday, November 3rd. Brand new T-shirt up. Do we know what it is? Can you tell what it is?
We have an inkling, but we're not allowed to. I'm not at liberty to say just yet.
Good. Well, there's a T-shirt Tuesday with an exclusive shirt then. If it's after Tuesday, just go to kindafunny.com/store. See what we have up. We have cups and stickers and
just the PS I Love You shirts shipped.
I did, yeah. And the garbage truck on fire. People are super stoked on them.
Really excited about
the garbage truck on fire. We need that as a Twitch emote.
That's easy.
Oh, we can make that happen.
Sure.
I need to be able to use that.
Okay, that's a good point. Send it to me and I'll get it broken up.
I will.
I also would like it as an emoji.
Just in general?
Yeah.
Yeah. Emojis need to step the game up. They did recently. But
it's how I feel about many of my conversations with my friends.
Yeah.
Okay. Tim.
Yes.
What's your topic?
My topic is comic books. We've talked about. Yeah, boy. We talked about comics a lot on the GameOverGreggy show. Seeing as it's episode 100, I feel like we can bring some shit back and make some things happen. What I want to talk about is what we're reading now, and to kind of maybe pitch each other on some stuff, specifically because I just finished one that I thought was excellent.
Okay.
That I want to at least talk to Colin about. I pitched him on a little bit, but I want to, now that I've actually read it and can confirm it's amazing.
Now
I want to pitch him.
Before we embark on this, can I just relay a little conversation Colin and all of us had about yesterday?
Sure.
Where he was like, and I quote, "You motherfuckers need to be way." What was the terminology?
It was about movies.
Yeah, he was like, "You guys need to be way more insistent on the movies that I should see. When you think I should see a movie, you guys need to insist on it."
Yeah, apparently, yeah, because you watched Ex Machina.
Yeah.
And then you also cited Gravity.
Great.
Interstellar.
Another great film.
People told you these were good movies, but they didn't tell you enough these were Colin movies.
We didn't say you need to watch this.
Well, I need people to identify things as Colin movies. There's nothing wrong with that. I
used the right terminology because my fear with
that's great. That's great. Okay.
My fear with it is that I'm like, Colin, you have to do this. And the second I use that term, you're like this. I don't have to do.
Exactly. No, that'll be
anything.
exactly what happens.
Anything.
Oh, I have to do it? I'll never do it.
Yeah.
Never do it.
Metal Gear Solid 5? No.
What else came out? What movie do I need to see? What else came out on that day? Alvin and the Chipmunks 4? That's a better movie. That's a movie of the century.
You guys are that's such bullshit because I'm really not a contrarian like that. I'm really not.
I'm just teasing.
And
I'm
I don't.
just teasing.
Yeah, the Metal Gear thing was a reaction to our audience being mean to me, not you guys.
We're just giving you trouble, little guy. It's okay.
But insist on it. You know, yeah, Interstellar. It's a good movie, Colin. That's fine. That's really interesting.
I feel like we've had podcasts trying to get you to watch Interstellar. Like, there's like 15-minute dive
And then I
times of
watch
Nick
it.
just
I'm like, why did
it.
anyone ever tell me to watch this? Because really, no one ever did tell me.
Well, the other problem is this though. Like when you say to someone that they have to do it, it sets that weird expectation, and it's never as good as the person makes it out to. But if I came to you and said it was fucking groundbreaking and amazing, like I'm setting it up wrong.
That's
you
a great
kind of just
point.
have to have.
You always have to kind
shit
of
has to
trick
come
them
to
into
you.
it. You
No,
know?
it's not even a trick. It's
You-
just like
you got to be a little sneaky about it. Just
a little bit.
Hey, I heard about this thing.
I want to
It's
see what
kinda
you have to
cool.
say about it.
I don't know if I like. That's how I've gotten my friends to watch both awesome and just heinous YouTube videos.
Yeah.
That's
You
how
know?
Tim gets me to watch.
You bring
every
them into
YouTube video.
Shrek is Love, Shrek is Life, and say, I don't really know how to feel about this, and then they watch it
Hold
and
on.
they
Can we-
know.
Let's rewind a little bit. Shrek is love. Shrek is life.
Do not Google that at work.
Oh my
For
god.
the love of God,
We
I
work
will
here.
show it to
I'm gonna
you.
Google it right
I
now.
will show it to you later. It's the weirdest thing you can ever watch. It makes no sense.
All right, we'll watch it later.
Okay, I'm
It's
excited about it.
It's oh my god.
I just want to say real quick about because we were talking about contrarianism, right?
Sure.
We really were. You
Well,
just
you're
brought it up.
You're insinuating it. You damn fool!
I
You just
gave you
insinuated
one. I
it.
gave you one literal reference that it's happened, and it didn't mention contrarian.
You
at
crazy
all.
old fool!
You literally.
But
You two need
Who
to
brought
spend
up
some time away from each
contrarianism?
other.
Let's think about that.
Thank you.
oh,
Rewind
this is
the video.
fucking bullshit. Just because you can infer something doesn't mean you literally are talking about
I wasn't
it.
even inferring it. I gave you one concrete example of when it happened.
When I saw Alvin and the Chipmunks.
No, that was my example based on the Metal Gear Mad Max.
But I'm saying that's not a contrarian issue. But you're insinuating that it is.
Okay.
You understand?
Mhm.
You and I have to go to couples counseling because it's really gotten to that point now.
just fucking admit the avocados weren't my fault.
I'm not so sure it's your fault. I think Grandma Georgina's fault. Yeah.
Grandma Georgina did not eat those goddamn.
Yeah, I think she might have.
She hasn't eaten an avocado in at least 3 years that I wasn't a
It's
part
not
of.
good
Yeah,
for
right.
bowels.
Grandma Georgina ate the avocado. You're never gonna know 'cause she doesn't leave her room, and she's never gonna admit it.
She would admit it.
No, she wouldn't admit it.
Can we call her?
Is it like a phone a friend situation?
But
You're
what I was gonna
contrarian.
say to the point about contrarianism is that a lot of people think I'm a contrarian, but I'm really not a contrarian.
I'm teasing.
It's
you.
no,
I'm
I know
just
you're teasing, but a lot of
you.
people do think that I just take. I'm like, I think people are entitled to have a different taste. It's funny to call me a contrarian since I run around defending Call of Duty every year. I don't think there's much contrarian about that, but I digress. Back to the comic book topic that I will have no input
I
on.
do quickly have to point out the irony of you saying you're not a contrarian.
I was gonna, but I'm happy that you're here to
That's
do it.
that's nonsense too. Because that's like saying it's contrarian to say like, hey Nick, you're a murderer. I'm not a murderer. You're fucking contrarian.
I
You're a
was like,
murderer.
No, Nick's
what
a
does Colin
murderer.
know about me?
Nick's a
I'll
murderer.
murder some
a
Taco
nonsense
Bell every
argument.
Sunday.
Let's move on.
I agree. I get that completely. Many of my friends think I'm contrary when I'm just telling them I feel differently.
Just like
What
someone-
comics
Very
do you want to
frustrating.
pitch?
Some of us
What
have-
comics
some
do you
of us
want
have
to
good
pitch?
taste.
What are we reading now? Like, Greg, what have you been reading?
Sex criminals, paper girls. Did you pick this one up yet?
No,
New
those are
English
both
Deals?
ones that are on.
Oh, you haven't read Sex Criminals?
No.
Oh, you're gonna
That's
love
next
it.
in line,
and
though.
then 6 years later, you'll make Nick read it.
Yeah.
He'll finally
I
get
heard
around to
Sex
it.
They
They
Criminals
talk about
was
Cum
amazing.
World a lot.
Cum World.
Yeah,
Come world.
Is this like a theme park?
kind of. Pretty much. Yeah.
It's my iPhone.
Are you familiar with Sex Criminals?
No, not at all.
Oh, you'd love it. You're familiar.
I'll
with
watch it. I mean,
yeah,
I'll
but
read
pitch it again.
The
'Cause
pitch
this
of
is
Sex
kind of like a
Criminals is
pitch
simple.
to people.
Is that it's mainly from it starts from the perspective of this one girl who discovered at a young age that when she orgasms, time stops, and she can just do whatever she wants in that thing. It's like a magic power. She can do whatever she wants. Like she tips over the microphone and then finishes the microphone will be over. This is all really happening.
No, this has to happen while she's orgasming,
Mhm.
or is there a?
Or
So
what-
she only has like a 10-second window,
No.
or it's like
no. It's
I just had
they
an
get into
orgasm
the
now,
rules
like,
of it or
okay.
whatever. Don't worry. It's like deferred or whatever. But
For the
anyways,
point of this,
there's not
think of it
much-
as Hero from Heroes.
Okay.
right,
Yeah,
exactly.
he
Yeah,
just-
that's an easy way to think of it. Yeah.
and then
Okay. Because I'm
turns
trying
it
to think
back
like
on.
there's not much I can get done in that
Yeah.
5 seconds.
It's
where
happening.
I'm worried about
You get like halfway out of
where
bed
it's
and
gonna
that's
go.
just it.
And
Yeah.
is it going to be a sprinkler or a
anyways,
little like a broken
so glad my
sprinkler?
parents are going to
You know what I
listen
mean?
to this.
Is this going to be a sprinkler or a broken sprinkler?
You know what I mean?
I get it.
Yeah.
See,
So
Mom,
eventually,
this is why I told you not.
on a
Just
one night
don't
stand or
watch.
whatever, she has sex with the guy and discovers that he exists in this space between spaces too. She calls hers the quiet. He calls it cum world. They've for their entire lives, they're in their 20s now, have thought they're the only people who have this ability. Now they suddenly meet that they can do it. So they go around and eventually they decide they're going to rob a bank together in the downtime.
Oh, that's
and
fun.
It turns out there's like other people with this power and they are like the police and they're running around and they have all these adventures trying to fight these people.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah.
How many issues is it in?
I think it's. Is it?
Teen? I actually just checked.
I think it's 13. I
Wait, here's
remember
my
reading
iPad, I'm
something
just
about it recently because I remember hearing about it. And normally, when I used to read comics, it was all superhero stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Never really could get into the
Other
not superhero stuff for more than the one-offs.
Mm-hmm.
And I was reading about it, and I was actually pretty interested about it because it sounds extremely crass or going to be attempting to be not crass and just be stupid.
Sure. Well,
But
it's
from what I've
adult
heard,
themed no matter what.
Yeah, from what I've heard, it actually sounds really good. But then I found out some dude decides to call something cum world.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's
That's the dude.
exactly, and that's the joke of like,
I'm
if
just
you were
saying.
if you were a pubescent boy and you discovered this, like, what would you call?
I would
you know
call
what I
it
mean?
cum-pocalypse.
13
or Come-Again.
issue 13 is about to come out.
Maybe, holy
13?
shit, why
Yeah,
is no one
okay.
moving? Am I finally going insane?
It's just
What
Dear
was the
God,
show,
help me.
Colin? Where the girl it was like an 80s show, she could freeze time. Do you remember that? Was it
Time Another World?
something? Out of this world? Was it
Out of this world.
Out of this world.
Another World was the
She was
college.
like, yeah, that was the sequel to a different show.
Was it the one? Was it the one?
was a different
No,
That was
Cosby
Different
Show.
World shit.
Oh,
Yes.
different world. That's what I'm thinking.
Different world.
What was it? The same one where she talked to the cube?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a different world or another world or one of these world ones, right?
I
Out of this
love
world.
that show. I love that show so much.
Yeah, me
She
too. I
was
remember
like-
that show very well. It was very weird. Yeah, she'd have like conversations with the guy in the pyramid.
Yeah,
Right.
it was her dad.
Yeah, her
Because
dad.
her dad was an alien.
Right. Exactly.
Are you sure this
80s
isn't a
were great.
Star Trek episode?
No, this
It
is-
might have been a Star Trek episode.
No, it's not. I mean, it might be too, but I know
Oh,
exactly
God,
the show you're talking about. It's a
Stargate,
very old, nostalgic memory of me being really sad about it.
I think, I also had a crush on the girl. She was blonde.
I wanna
Sex
watch
Criminals
that.
is great.
yeah.
Reading that.
Sex
Nail
Criminals.
Biter. Real into Nail Biter.
Nail biter. I don't know what that
Nail
is.
Biter is the story of there's a town in the Pacific Northwest called Buckaroo. I think it's Oregon, but don't quote me on that. Not that it matters. And it turns out that like it's something like 16 of the world's most deadly serial killers have all come from that town. And there's a guy on the ground trying to figure out why that's happening. He goes to he disappears. His friend has to come out and figure out why. And shenanigans and craziness ensue.
To be honest with you, Greg, if you ever go on a hunt for why serial killers are serial killers and you disappear,
Yeah,
you're done.
You're not.
I'm not
coming-
going after you.
don't
Well,
come for me.
and I don't think anyone's really going to wonder why.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You just join them. I'll just assume you join them.
Yeah, sure. I'm
They
their
call
leader
him the Buggier. What is it? Bugsy?
now. Bugs. They just call me Bugs.
Bugsy
They
the
called me
Annihilator.
Bugs growing up. No one's called me Bugs in years.
Have you read The Wicked and the Divine?
I have not yet.
That's another one that people keep recommending to me. I don't really know too much about it. It sounds like there's like pop singers, and it's at a point where pop singers are gods because people kind of like follow them like a religious cult, like they do.
Like
Sure.
Taylor Swift.
Yeah, but it reaches a point where they do become like this like god-like.
Sounds like a Rush album.
Oh, they are just gods.
Yeah.
Well, they're
Nice.
gods.
Are you?
Um,
Have you been reading Saga?
So Saga is so pretty much I haven't been reading comics for like maybe 6 months. And then I was like, fuck, I need to get back into this because I was way behind on stuff.
Yeah.
So I went back and I caught up on all the stuff that I normally read. So Transformers, Ninja Turtles,
Invincible.
Invincible, Spider-Man,
Spider-Gwen.
Spider-Gwen,
Yeah.
Batgirl,
Yeah.
Batman. And yeah, so those are the ones I always
Sure.
just kind of read.
Sure.
And those are all kind of varying degrees of good or bad. Invincible, I've been really upset with the last
Really?
13 or so issues where
The
I'm
space
like,
stuff?
yeah, I'm like, I don't care
I see.
at
I
all.
see.
And now this new stuff they got going on, I'm like, fuck yes.
Yeah.
I
It's
like
great.
it a lot.
I like reboot ? Storyline a lot, but it's one of 3, right? Is like the book that just came out.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, okay. So in
but I
4
mean,
issues.
again, all the question marks and all the like, them putting that out of 3,
Yeah.
that's for a reason,
yeah.
right? I don't know what that reason is.
I mean, like, I think it's pretty obvious how that's gonna go. Spoilers, I guess, or whatever, and for whatever. I've talked to you about this, haven't I? You don't even read Invincible, right?
I do.
Oh, how far behind are you?
Very 3 episodes or 3 issues rather.
You'll be fine. I mean, Mark shoots down that hole, and then Oliver's like, "Wait, no, don't!" And then it gets so it's clearly the thing he walks up to, like, is basically that thing from the old Superman story that the Starro Light guy that gets attached to you and gives you your wildest dreams or whatever kind of thing. So he's gonna wake up from it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Nothing else changed.
I don't know. We'll see. I hope that's not the case. That will be very
I
upsetting.
mean, the best thing about Robert Kirkman is that he likes to fuck with you,
and he knows that shit. That's my thing.
He swerves. He swerves. Yeah.
Because the last bits have been rough to get through, and but so I caught up with all of those, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna give Saga a shot because everyone's telling me that I need to.
Right.
Kevin is the one naysayer. Kevin is just like,
Kevin doesn't
it's
like
not
love
good.
stories.
It's too
He doesn't
dramatic.
Who writes Saga?
It's just Brian Vaughn.
Fiona and some.
Sounds
Fiona
like
Brian K.
Staples
Vaughn is
it's
shoots
going
it,
to be a
Fiona,
weird
or
comic. It
writes
sounds
it,
like one of the
or
ones my dad
draws it.
keeps telling me to read because my dad reads those kind of comics all the time.
Those kind of comics.
Like the
Non-superhero comics.
non-
It's a thing.
It is.
Yeah.
That's all when we used to
But
go
it's
to comic
fucked up because they're
stores.
the best ones
That's all
going.
he'd get.
Yeah, well, Saga's it's like a rough on Romeo and Juliet, basically. It's
So
like
the,
Yeah, that's
the thing on
100%
Saga, if
something
you guys
he's
don't know, it's Romeo and Juliet meets Star Wars meets Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So it's just the epicness and character styles of Star
Star-crossed
Wars
lovers.
with the plot of Romeo and Juliet, but with the fucked upness of Game of Thrones. Which is like, if that doesn't sell you on it, you're just not into
in
those
the
things.
space.
It's fucking awesome. I love it. I in like 4
Space
days
travel.
I caught up
Yeah.
with all of it. I'm like, man, I wish there was more right now.
Sure.
It's really good. It's a little crass unnecessarily, I think sometimes.
Sure.
Especially
Is
when
in
you're on a
life-
plane.
Yeah, life is. But it's just something that they say. I'm not a fan of saying fuck just to say fuck, and I feel like sometimes they say fuck just to say fuck.
Yeah.
That's fun to say.
It
Have
is
you-
fun to say.
Have
but
you had the experience yet where you're reading a comic book on a plane and you're like, this is really, that's a tit.
yeah,
Or like some
That was
fake
me.
sex.
That was me with Saga.
Yeah,
She's getting plowed from behind. I'm like,
Yeah, I was like,
all
whoa.
right.
yeah, yeah. There's a lot of. It's like Game of Thrones in a lot of ways, but yeah,
pinching and
Saga's
zooming.
excellent.
You look
Great
around,
one
you
of
do this
those.
first, you're like,
Great one of those. I was playing Persona
Yeah.
on the plane.
Yeah.
And the guy sitting next to me was extremely old and just, it playing out of North Carolina. Not the major airports, Wilmington's airport, which is like tiny, super country. The dude just like looks over and the amount of just does not compute on his face when he sees Teddy get out of the.
Nice.
He was just like, what is wrong with this dude?
Those generations are ruined.
So I caught up on Saga and I was like, fuck, I want more. So then I was like, oh, what else has this guy written? Because like this shit's fucking good. And then I saw that he wrote this thing called The Private Eye. Private Eye was something that someone recommended to me like months ago. Downloaded all of them. It's like a really interesting, it's like a pay what you want model type thing, which is pretty unique for comics. And so you can get all of them free or you can pay whatever. And so I just downloaded all of them. And then I finally started reading it and in 2 days finished all of it. It's only 10 issues and it's a complete story, which is my favorite. Like when things are ongoing, it gets a little bit messy and stuff. But like when you know there's an end and the writer has a fucking clear plan of where it's going, that's great. Otherwise it's like, and then time travel. And it's like, fuck, God damn it, don't do this.
Yeah.
But so this is what I'm trying to pitch Colin on. Private Eye. So the plot of Private Eye is we're in the near future. So it's like 2070, I think. And in 2050, the cloud bursts. So everything that's in the cloud is revealed to the world. So all of your search history, all of your contacts, all of your
I think I've actually heard of this. Yeah.
yeah, I told you about it like last week, but now that I finished it, I'm like, I can actually recommend this. Because the first couple issues I wasn't like super sold on, but then as it comes together, I'm like, fuck, this is great. But so everyone's secrets are out there. So there is no more online anonymity.
Gotcha.
And I mean, just imagine how much that would fuck people. And
So
even
all
the people,
YouTube commenters.
yeah, exactly. But even the people that are like, feel like, oh, I have nothing to hide. It's like they do have something to hide, where there's text messages from their past or, there's all these different pictures they've taken or anything. There's like so many things they've bought. Like all this different stuff comes to play. And what happens is they shut down the internet and everybody is required just by sheer necessity to create alter egos and like secret identities in real life to kind of hide from stuff because no one wants their real identity to be out there because then they're like, gonna be in trouble for some shit.
Sure.
So people have like everyone's wearing masks and everyone's doing stuff and they come up with multiple identities that like they don't even share with like their friends and stuff because they're like YouTube comment identity will be one thing and then their like work identity will be another. And like they come up with these like real identities in real life. And it is such a fascinating story. The police, there's no more police. The press is the new police force. So like there's journalists that are out trying to like get to the bottom of shit and like catching you for stuff and all that. And man, the end is fucking amazing.
How long is it?
10 issues.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's fucking it's in and out. It's like it's really, 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 really good. And it's just such a fascinating storyline. And they're not coming back to it. There's no sequels, no bullshit. It's just fucking it is what it is. And the story is great. The characters are good. There's one of the main characters is the main character's grandpa, who is a dude. He's essentially me. Like he's grown up with all this stuff, in love with using his phone, addicted to his phone, addicted to Facebook and all the social media and video games, being connected and all this stuff. And it's a funny look at what the future is going to be, where there's this old guy covered in tattoos, which is like all the people my age now that are covered in tattoos, eventually they're going to be old people covered in tattoos. And that's going to be weird looking, you know? And so this guy is that, and all these, the people, there's a mystery going on, and people are like, what? We don't even know how to use this shit. And they're talking about iPads and stuff. And he's the only like crazy guy that's like nostalgic about having iPads and nostalgic about his phone. Like he won't stop having his phone, even though it hasn't been connected forever, but he keeps looking at his old Facebook messages just because he wants to relive like his memories of what the internet used to be. And it's fucking so good.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Tim, you would die without the internet.
I know.
Literally, you wouldn't go a day. You just be like this. That's
I'm
it.
done.
I'm gonna swallow
Peace.
this phone.
Oh. Yeah.
And then you shit it out.
I think
and
most
swallow
of
it
us
again.
would. You really don't realize how useless everything you own is until it doesn't have a connection to something.
Oh my god! I was on a drive up to up north a little bit with my wife last weekend, and we hit the inevitable dead zone as far as the connectivity to the phones were concerned. And I was like, well, shit. I haven't downloaded any music in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
I've got Spotify. She's got Pandora. Between the two of us, we had nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. And we were forced to talk to each other.
Oh my god.
And it was
A fate worse than death.
terrible.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Talking.
I almost pulled one of those, all right, I'll be right back, and just left the car midway, just taking off the seatbelt, just gone.
Roll.
That
I
was
like
fun.
the be right back statement before you dive out of the car.
Be right back when I get the coffee.
Have you ever seen someone try and pull those just out of habit and then realize they're in an enclosed space?
No.
No.
You have friends like this?
You got some weird ass
Well,
friends, Alex.
Not friends. This was people I knew my freshman year of college. It was just the stock thing when this guy was ready to go. It was like, all right, see you later. Doesn't matter where he just kind of came out of his mouth. You know, it was one of those things he says a lot. And when that trigger went off in his brain, it was, all right, see you later. Then oh crap, I'm in a car.
I'm trapped.
Oh, you can't go anywhere. I got you.
Can't do this anymore.
thought
One
you meant
time
the
he
car
did
was in
commit
like
to
a-
it. We were in line for cookout, and
He
he
said,
just,
fuck it.
I mean, cookout's right next to campus where I went to school, and he just,
Bounced out.
all right, I'll see you guys later.
I
No,
had
he
a
didn't.
friend-
He didn't bounce out. He went to the walk-up window,
Oh.
got food,
And then left. Yeah. I had a friend, Raymond, who
Smart.
every once in a while will just decide he's done with whatever we were doing. He's like, bye, and just leave. Like he would always leave though. It's like, all right, Raymond, see you later. I
Nobody
guess.
loves you, Raymond.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. I like that. Going back to comics, I can't say this enough. The Star Wars comics are amazing. Nick, you need to read these things.
They're on my list of to-dos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to catch up on Invincible and Saga first.
Yeah.
It's just hard because the comics, the part of my brain that's like, you're not getting the value you deserve out of these. Because more often than not, it's, it's $3 a book. I can finish that. I mean, I'm a slow reader, but I'm pretty sure I can finish that thing in like 5 minutes. That's not a big bang for your buck on that, right? So
Comics are tough. Comics,
it's tough.
I
It's
catch
real
myself
tough.
all the time being like, wait, slow down and look at the panels. Because if you're just reading, you breeze right through and you're done.
Yeah.
It's disposable. It's out the window.
Yeah, comic books are one of those things still I don't get. Not interested in them. It's not even, I'm sure they're great stories. That story sounds awesome. That would be a great movie or a series. I love the idea of the anonymity now being in person instead of online. I think it's a brilliant idea. The question, of course, is if everyone's information leaked, then everyone would be hurt. So why would it even matter? But
They get into a whole bunch of shit. It's fucking so good. I recommend reading it just so we can talk about it.
I'd like to check it out, but
I'm going to buy for sure. So
Well,
I
I'll
can
just
I'll
read it.
lend
I'll
it,
read
I'll
it.
borrow it over to you.
Look
And
at
it's free.
Look at the pictures.
You can get it for free if you wanted to.
But that's just one. It's comics that just don't resonate with me. I don't get them. I don't understand them at all. So it's because to Nick's point, it's like I used to try to buy them and read the G.I. Joe comics in the late 80s, early 90s were really actually really popular. And I used to get those. My brother would buy them. I look at my brother's X-Men and X Factor comics and stuff. And I'm like, I just don't like these are cool characters. I guess I'm like, I just don't why. Yeah. Like why, like this format, this specific format, I just don't get it. You know, it's I'd rather just read about these characters, you know, and actually have words and tell me what's going on, you know, and all these kind of, I don't understand. So even like when the last time I tried to really read a comic was when Jericho went to, which is a great show, one of Greg and my favorite shows, went to comics to finish the story. And I'm like, I just read the synopsis. I'm like, I'm not doing this. I remember I read like half the comic. I'm like, nah, I don't think so.
I think I'm with Colin on this one as someone who has fallen in and out of love with comic books. I used to love them. And I think the divide was when I discovered I can read a comic book and that's it. I can't do something else at the same time. The big thing for me that kind of changed was I listen to a lot of books as audiobooks, but I do it while I'm playing a game. So I feel like I'm getting more than one thing done. Because see, I'll play a game like the mindless parts of Metal Gear, like these side ops. I don't care. I'm, you know.
How dare you?
No, I'm with him. I mean, when I was doing side ups, I was listening to podcasts.
I made a fucking art form out of taking those tanks down, like the heavy infantry and the tanks. That shit
but
down.
while I'm doing that, I was getting through a book as well, or a TV show. Like that's the weird thing. I'll do it with Netflix too, podcast Netflix. There are plenty of TV shows that it sounds weird. I don't have to watch. They're just there, kind of on next to me.
Yeah.
Like perfect example, Malcolm in the Middle. Throw that on. It's just going in the background. Play some Destiny. Same thing. Feel like I'm doing more than one thing at once. Whereas with a comic, I have to sit there and do the thing. And at least with a book, when I want to read a book, it's more of a, I'm sitting down to read this book. I have a reason for doing it, and it's going to take me a while. And with the comic, it's like, I'm in the bathroom. All right, cool, I'm done. I'm already done with the comic book, but I'm not even done with going to the bathroom.
It's hard. It's hard.
That's the thing is like, I mean, like the reason I like comic books is that they force me to slow down. It is the one I have to focus. Like I can't tell you the number of times where I'm like, I can't wait for The Walking Dead tonight. That's gonna be so great. I can't wait. And it's the only thing I watch on TV that day or whatever. Sunday comes around, I turn it on, and then sure enough, 15 minutes, and I'm looking at my phone. I'm like, wait, I was excited for this all day. I have to force myself to put it down and put it away. Whereas the comic books, like you have to give it your undivided attention. So yeah,
I can't imagine doing what you're doing. Whether it's comics, music, movies, TV, internet, whatever. I am doing one thing. Like I can't watch. Like I can. If I'm watching Malcolm in the Middle, it's because I want to watch Malcolm in the Middle. If I didn't want to watch Malcolm in the Middle, I wouldn't watch it. Like I need to like just kind of get into it. Like, especially with music, it drives me crazy when people are like, "Oh yeah, I just have the music on and I'm doing other stuff." I'm like, no, like music is a thing you do.
Interesting. I'm one of the reasons I really like this show is because when you and Colin talk about music, I tend to agree with you guys a lot. I listen to a lot of music, like a lot. That's one of the big things I do, and I never just listen to music. And it'd be interesting to see you try and deal with how I do media. I literally have headphones on, speakers on, and a computer. I will listen to
Kevin.
I will listen to music while listening to a book and playing a game.
Yeah, no.
It's
no,
like
no.
and
that's the thing about, like, with
it'll
video
be a
games,
MOBA.
though, like with games, even if there's not like a thrilling soundtrack or like whatever, I feel like it's part of the experience. Like I feel like I'm missing out on.
Well, it's only some types of games though. Like I can only do it with like Minecraft or like Heroes of the Storm, something where there's no a little bit of meat on the bones. You know, like the whole thing about Minecraft when it came out, because it was just something to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no. Colin and I just talked about this on the most recent episode of P.S. I Love You, or at least the morning episode of P.S. I Love You. You got a lot to catch up on now, brother. But no, like grinding in games, right? Like Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning and Skyrim, and I'm sure when Fallout 4 gets here, those are games that I know I'm gonna eventually get to where it's like, fuck, I just need to knock out these quests or whatever. I know. Every so often I forget that it's almost time, and I remember it's almost time, and I'm like, Nick, punch me in the head and put me in a fucking coma.
It's so close. Here, listen. Here's the thing about comics is that it's like me, like, think about the different media forms, and I appreciate pretty much all media forms because it's fine. Like I think comic books are beautifully drawn, and some of them, and interesting stories. It's just I think about DC and these characters, for instance, Batman. I really love Batman, and I appreciate Batman in that lore. I'm like, this would be, and we've talked about this past, and I know that they exist, but I'm like, just write books. You know what I mean? Why does everything have to have pictures? Like, what is even the allure of this? Like it would be much more fun to have like a fully fleshed out story instead of seeing a panel with a big towering building, and the next panel is Batman standing on the building. And then there's a panel like closed up with Batman, and it's like just an ellipsis or whatever. And I'm like, you could just explain this in a much cheaper way. Frankly, that would be like much more even you can even garner better visuals in your head based on what's going on, based on the words usage, as opposed to the like 500 words that might be in a comic book, and that's probably really even a lot of words. So
but that's why it's a different art form, right?
I appreciate it for what it is, but I get frustrated the same way. I'm like, tell stories like with words. Use your words and tell me a story. If Batman was a book, if they were like, we're releasing 2 Batman novels a year, and it's going to be this continuation, it's going to be all this fantastic, I'd totally be in. Sure. You know, I would absolutely be in, and I bet you the stories would be better, and I bet you the using a little bit of your imagination is fun. It's like, what's a recent example? The Hunger Games. I read the Hunger Games books, and I really liked the first Hunger Games book. The second one is identical to the first book, which was like the most frustrating thing in the world. Then the third book was, whatever. But I had this great image in my head of everything going on, the cornucopia and the arena and the way all the characters looked and stuff. And then I see the movie and I'm like, this isn't the way I saw it in my head. And I often wonder, like, what kind of awesome images could I conjure up if I just didn't have a touchstone at all? Like I didn't have a touchstone when Samantha or whatever her name is, Collins, I think that's her name. Rebecca, I don't know, whatever. Collins is her last name. When she released those books, I'm like, my image of those is just so much different than than the movies, and it's disappointing, and it almost ruins it for me.
I hear you, but I mean, it's just that's the whole thing. Is like, this is what we're talking about again on PS I Love You the other day, right? Of just the fact of like, it's their story in this instance. You know what I mean? It is The Last of Us. This is how they want you to have this experience. And then granted, like you're saying, there's other things. The problem, of course, is like I just said a second ago too, is just that like superhero books tend to be so bad overall. Like I've been reading everything DC, like everything in so many of these books. I'm like, oh, terrible. Skip.
You're talking about comic books.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And like, there's standouts that are great, but like when I'm talking about who's doing the best work right now, the work I'm most into, it's Image over and over. Like every book I listed a second ago was Image, right? Mm-hmm. And it's because they're here's this weird detective thriller happening in Buckaroo, and here's, you know what I mean? Like they're not, here's this thing, and I'm not sure 100% where Paper Girls is going, but like here are these girls who deliver newspapers in the 80s, and something crazy is going on. Their first night, this one girl's first night on the job. You know what I mean? Like that's way more interesting to me than 90% of DC and Marvel.
Sounds like some
now.
Babysitter Club shit. Yo, real
she
quick.
Smokes cigarettes. You'd like her.
Oh, okay, cool.
There's a Monster Squad poster in her room too.
But I wonder if it's not fair and this is just an assumption. I mean, I have looked at numbers and I have studied it because when we were talking about video or comic book movies and how prolific they are, yet comic book readership is like dwindling. So I wonder if there's almost something to be said about like, why don't you try a different way? You know, like
I'm totally down.
Try a different way of telling these stories.
The different one, see, not even like the comics need a kick in the ass. Like you said a second ago that if they did 2 novelizations right, that they'd be better than the comics are putting out.
They could tell probably in a novelization though, Greg, probably 30 comic books worth.
You're missing my point though. You said that right, and Kevin shook his head like no. And I'm actually with you that I wish that what I always want them to do is blow up continuity and find writers and artists and writers, put them together and say, you have 12 issues to tell your book. We're going to put them out in a compilated thing. That's the future to me personally. Yeah, what they do right now with Superman Earth 1 and Batman Earth 1, where all of a sudden I get a fucking hardcover that's 136 pages and it's this beginning to end story, and usually like the last panel teases what the next book's going to be about. And you're like, that's fucking perfect. This nonsense right now with like
30 pages a month,
the dueling Superman books that are going on and trying to tell you the same thing while Justice League's telling you the same thing, but he's still dressed as Superman. And it's just like, what are you doing? You're just trying to put something out monthly. What's the goal here? I miss that. And that's why Image is great, because they have a goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like even the situation to be such that find some. I'm not saying there aren't talented, right? I don't know anything about the comic book industry at all, so don't assume that I'm speaking from a place of knowledge, because I'm not. But my assumption is that a lot of the writers in the comic book industry are talented, but they don't write the way I would want something to be written. And I would love to see. I mean, maybe it would be financially viable, although I'm not so sure it wouldn't be. If you were to say like, find some good writers and write, write a Batman trilogy, 3 400-page books. That's the story. Find people that are outside of that industry to even write these things. Fill them in a little bit on what needs to be said, and like let them go. And then you have no touchstones to all this bullshit retconning and all this kind of stuff, and just tell the story. Because I it's been fun and interesting to me to watch comic book movies just explode and comic book culture explode and all these things explode, but comic book numbers really seem to be low.
They're not spiking
exactly.
Crazily.
So it's so that tells me that it's not comics that matter to people. It's the
stories. It's the characters and the stories.
It's the Flash, and it's Daredevil, and it's Gotham. By the way, it's Shocker, of course. By the way, I was talking to my dad the other day.
Huh? Sorry.
He's a great man.
I know.
I love my dad.
I'm
65-year-old
GJM, what up?
retired fireman. I'm like, what are you watching? You got to check out this movie Ex Machina. Nobody told me to watch it. Then I'm telling you to watch it. And he's like, oh, that's interesting. And he's like me, like I'll have to tell him 5 more times. Like, but he sees a lot of movies, so I actually assume that like he goes to movies all the time. So my assumption was they already seen it. And I'm like, so what are you watching these days? He's like, well, I'm watching Gotham.
Yeah.
And I'm like, really? He's like, my dad loves Batman too. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, you like it? And he's like, yeah. I was like, huh. All right. You know, I'm like, I totally didn't expect that. You should watch, for God's sakes, watch House of Cards. He's like, all right, I'll talk to you next week. So, you know, that was basically the extent of the conversation. But I thought that was an interesting kind of.
Are you going to keel over when you call him in a year? And what do you watch? He's like, oh, I'm watching this Supergirl season 2.
Supergirl. How did people enjoy this show?
It did monster ratings.
Well, I'm sure it did, but that doesn't matter. Did people like it?
I'm 30 minutes through the first. I'm halfway through the first show, so I haven't gone online to look at reactions. So I have no information to give you on that one.
I'm interested to see if that catches on or not. Anyway, I feel like a lot of the people too are a little disenfranchised from the community because, you know, like Comic-Con, we've talked about Comic-Con, and how many Comic-Cons there are. And I'm like, it's called Comic-Con, Comic Convention, but it's really not about comics. It's about the characters that are ancillary.
The popular arts now.
Exactly. So I think we just have to figure out a new way forward. Like that, I think that there's probably much like the nerds at the center of games. I mean, even we are like those, like the purity of Mega Man, for instance, like is really important to me. I'm sure there are a lot of nerds that there's like a purity to Batman comic books and the cells and the art and stuff like that. And I'm like, I think you just have to figure out a new way forward to get people like me.
It's one of those. It's all about the financials of figuring out how it exists. You know, if comics don't get any bigger, great. Maybe they go and make books then for people who want the books, and then you still have the art from over there.
Oh, I'd be in, dude. If they did it where it wasn't a one-off, but like if they told a continuity over years, that was like a novelization. I'd love that.
And so because it's just talking, it's different audiences finding different audiences. They found so much success with the movies because there is a bunch of people who don't want to read comics. And like I'm telling you, man, like reading a comic book takes more effort than you think. Because it isn't reading the words, it is looking at the faces and looking in the background and seeing how this person reacts or doesn't react or what they're doing with their hand. I mean, like how many times you see something like that was a weird plot twist, and then you'll reread it, or somebody tells you, no, go back to this page. You missed this part where it's, you know, like, holy shit, I did. Like it's kind of like I've read them wrong before. I still do every so often when I'm in a hurry or whatever. But it's about like going back and rereading them.
And I also want to point something out. I used to think I would love to read a novel about Batman. And I've read a lot of Batman books over the years. More and more, I'm thinking I wouldn't. He, as a character, is interesting in the format of a comic book. If you give me too much of him, like even a short novel, I think you'd reveal that there's not as much going on to him as a character in that format as there is in a comic. It's very much, you have to use the medium itself. With books, you know, when you write something, you have to follow the rules. Don't write about it if it's not important. Whereas if you do that for a superhero kind of thing, that would be really boring.
I don't know.
If you only give me the absolute essentials of what happens in a Batman book, there's no environment to it. The same way when you read a comic, you see all the things that make him. You know, it's kind of like playing Arkham Asylum. The first one, the cool thing about that game is you felt like Batman. You were hiding. You were doing the whole thing. It was the environment it created, and it could only happen because you're stuck in Arkham. Same way with a comic book, you're seeing it happen. So they show you. They don't necessarily tell you, and then it's on you to see it. But if you have a whole book,
I don't know. I think it depends on I see your point, but I think it depends on the author, right? I think that's the job of the person writing the book is to compel you to keep turning each page. I see both sides. I see the side of Colin's argument as well, but I come at it more from a visual medium, right, where I love film more than anything else. And one of the parts of the process of a lot of films is the storyboard process, where someone sits with the director. Oftentimes will sit with an artist and say, what is your sort of vision for how these frames are going to look, or this environment, or all these things? And I think that I bring that level to it. So when I read, my brain fills in the blanks. It looks at it like it is a storyboard. And I physically start, if it's a good book and a good enough story, I physically start seeing the action unfold in my head from pain to pain. And I don't know. I mean, I think you get a really good graphic novel, not necessarily a superhero book, but a good graphic novel, and it really is a unique and very, very stunning art form if done well. But that's the same for everything. If a novel is beautifully written, then it sucks you in just like anything else.
And I do have to point out, I just thought of something that does kind of ruin what I said.
Oh, is it this? Batman the Ultimate Evil? The hardcover book I'm recommending to you and Colin again. It is the best book I've ever read.
One of my favorite authors, Neil Gaiman.
No. It's not true. Don't worry. I'm recommending the book. Now, it was released in 1995, so I was 12. But I remember at the time thinking it was awesome. Batman goes after a child sex ring. Like kids are being fucking abused.
I'm interested in the story.
Okay. I can't speak to it anymore, but I remember back then thinking it was a great book. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, but one of my favorite authors, Neil Gaiman.
Yeah.
You know, Sandman.
Stardust.
Awesome. American
Stardust,
Gods is very similar in the essence of what it is. American Gods is one of the best books I've ever read. And I've read a lot of books, and I got to say that he totally nailed everything that was cool about Sandman as a comic, but in a novel form. You know, he maintained that air of like, you don't understand how all of it works until it all kind of comes together, and you're like, oh yeah, it totally makes sense. But I don't know, I do worry about some comic book characters that you show what's good about them only in a comic, and if you try and take them out of that, I think it would be nothing but making them weaker. Kind of like Fight Club, the book against the movie, you know?
Sure.
Well, if you read the book, it's...
You take Batman, and we kind of know Batman, right? We kind of know the Batman story. We know a lot of what drives him and where his stories usually go. But I mean, that's the same with everything, right? You look at a story like Arrow, which is for all intents and purposes, like I just started watching that show, which is why I'm really into it. I keep bugging Greg every time. I'm like, hey, I just watched this awesome episode. Greg is like, it's 3 years old, Nick. The story, you saw it. I saw it 3 years ago. But I mean, that's basically a retelling of a Batman-like story,
right?
But they just, you put a different twist on it. They always say there are no unique stories left, right? Just unique storytellers.
Well, no, and that's the whole thing is, it's whose take on it. The one, like the next Superman book I'm super excited for, right, is American Alien, which is Max Landis's book. He's doing, of course, Red Air Chronicle and Wrestling Isn't Wrestling, or Wrestling Isn't Wrestling on YouTube with Chloe and everybody else. Like, I can't fucking wait for that. And it's just a Clark Kent book about him growing up, right? I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's do it.
Was your favorite Arrow episode the one where he's in the parking lot with his head down and his hood up, and it's clearly him, but no one knows that it's actually him because he has
I love that one
on his face?
What's funny is that
I watched a few episodes with Greg. I'm like, this is the most absurd shit I've ever seen.
When you watch one episode per week, it does. I bet it doesn't sink in as much as when you watch
when you
five
marathon
of them
him
in one night. And
Queen's back in town, and I just saw him at his house. Now I gotta talk to this Arrow fella.
It's always him.
Yeah,
they're like 3 minutes.
Listen here, I don't know who you are, but you better stay away from my daughter that's always hanging out with Oliver Queen.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I've told my
detective.
friends, I don't care what you do. Put on a hood, change your voice. I'm gonna know it's you.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah,
like just the way, you
much.
walk, I will immediately know it's you.
That's why I mean, it's a fucking terrible movie, but the Green Lantern movie has that amazing interaction when he lands and he's trying to play it off, and she's like, "Hal?" He's like, "How did you know?" She's like, "You think by putting something over your cheekbones, I wouldn't know who you are?" This was a great topic, Tim, and it was brought to you by none other than Loot Crate. Tim, would you classify yourself as a geek, gamer, or pop culture nerd?
I would, Craig.
Then Loot Crate is the subscription box for you. Every month there is a different theme, which are all inspired by classic movie and video game releases, as well as pulling from pop culture franchises. This month, they're bringing you a fight for the ages. Suit up, choose your allies, and enter the arena for combat. And they put combat in all big letters, so you know they're serious about this one.
Yeah.
It's fucking getting down. They're ready to stand their ground this month with exclusive items from Blizzard, Fallout 4. God. We can't stop thinking about Hold My Hand. I need help. Capcom, sponsor-worthy loot from the Hunger Games. Oh, you like that? As well. Ah! It's like at the end of Superman 2 when Superman crushes Zod's hand and then kills 3 people, and everybody's like, oh, no big deal. Hunger Games, as well as a few more items that will help their winners emerge victorious. Whether you're risking your life in battle or taking no prisoners in the wasteland, our loot will be at your side to help things be interesting. Basically, Loot Crate is a friend who knows you and loves you and surprises you with awesome presents every month. Did we mention they shipped to over 13 different countries too? You have until the 19th at 9 p.m. Pacific to subscribe and receive that month's crate. And when that cutoff happens, Jack, that's it. It's over. So go to lootcrate.com/kindafunny and enter the code kindafunny to save $3 on your new subscription today.
I don't think that Jack was.
I
in
add
that
Jack
copy.
every time, and Jack tweets at me and thanks me every time. So I like it quite a bit.
Jackie Trenton?
No, I wish. His Twitter account's been quiet a long time.
Greg, before we get to the next topic, did it ever bother you that they felt the need to have Gene Hackman's character Lex Luthor be like, he switched it?
No, that was great.
But it was happening out here.
No, he explains it for like my dad in the audience. And my dad's like,
Huh.
that's
Every
what he
time
did.
I see that, I'm like, we got it. Thanks for
Loved it.
nailing
No,
home.
he had to be there. He had to drive it home.
All right.
You know what? You're a real pain in the neck. Falls to her death.
That was unfortunate. She just
My
murdered
topic.
someone.
My topic.
Yeah.
Now, it's heady, so stick with me.
Okay.
I said, what is real adulthood like? Now we've talked about adults, when we knew we were adults, and da-da-da-da. This one comes from a different track. A couple weeks ago, I wake up feeling great. Have a cup of coffee, sit down with my Rachel Ray magazine, spread them out, look through them for the recipes for the week, take my photos, assemble. Rachel Ray every day is the best magazine I've owned since EGM. It's getting weird. It's the best subscription. First off, you said don't try to play it tough in front of your internet friends. The other day you were talking about how you like how much I cook and you think that's cool.
I do think it's cool.
Thank you. Fucker.
It's odd that you choose Rachel Ray magazine
and spreading her out across
and spread it out like
you used to be evangelical about Dr. Barbecue, of course.
I ain't shitting on Dr. Barbecue. Dr. Barbecue's Barbecue book out there. Best book I've ever read. That's a good book.
It's up there with Animal Farm and
Batman Ultimate Evil.
Yeah,
Batman Ultimate Evil.
Yeah.
I do it. I'm like, I have the whole thing assembled. Christine went and did something, and I'm like, you know what? While you go do that, I'm gonna go to the produce market, get some good produce. On the way over there, I'm gonna go to Starbucks. I'm gonna get myself a pumpkin spice latte. Then go to that, do that. I'm gonna
tell you about pumpkins.
They're great. I don't care what you say. And they were my avocados. And then she was gonna come back, and then we are gonna go to the real store and stuff. And
real store.
And I'm checking out at the real store, the grocery store. I bought some nice meats for these Rachel Ray dishes I had that were fantastic. I'll have you know.
Good meat case at the real store.
Oof, yeah. Andronicos knows what's up. They got this.
Those are my dudes back there.
I know, right? They're all so nice. Oh, I love them. You know what? Fuck it. We're gonna make you food today from Andronicos. No, we're going out. I'm checking out though, and I realized that it's like now, I don't know, 4, 5 on Sunday or whatever. I've spent my whole day doing these chores or whatever. Watch the Bears, I guess, in the morning when I must have been doing something else. I've done all these different things, and I realized I wasn't grumpy or mad. And I realized how rare this was. Because normally when I'm at the grocery store, I am fucking furious to be at the grocery store. This is taking me away from playing a video game or whatever the fuck it is I want to do for 45 minutes. But I realized this had been a weekend that fell in where there was no game that had its hooks in me. I'm of course waiting for that which won't be named. And so I was like, oh, this is what it's like to be a real adult. This is what it's like for normal human beings who aren't mad when they turn on their system and have to update something. Or like, because I still act like a fucking child when I'm like, I turn to Christine, I'm like, you want to go? And I like cooking. I enjoy cooking quite a bit. It's very fun. But I'll turn to her, I'm like, Sunday, I'm like, do you want to go to the grocery store? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, fine, let's go. I'll get the Rachel Ray magazine.
I don't understand what's so bad about going to the grocery store.
I hate these chores that take me away from doing the fun stuff I want to do. We work ourselves too hard. That's all. We've talked about that a million times, right? So it's like we talk about games all day. So all I want to do is play games. But then the end of the day comes and we got to edit this video or we're running over here to do this or we're setting something. You know what I mean? It's like by the end of the day, I'm like, fuck, I want to watch Supergirl. Well, I'll fit in the first half in while I eat breakfast in the morning before I run off to get ready for, you know what I mean? Like, so by the time it actually gets to, now it's the weekend. I always feel like it's the weekend. Fuck everything. Fuck everyone. All I want to do is sit here in my boxers and play this thing. But there was no game. And I was like, this must be what it's like to be a real adult. Freedom. And then I went to Nashville last weekend and went with a bunch of my friends from Missouri who all still, they're married and they live in places they own and they have jobs they like, but then just stop at 5 and they go home. I'm like, oh, you're real adults too. And they were all talking about kids. And I'm like, am I not a real adult? And I know we always make the jokes about being man babies and stuff, but are we fucking up? Like, are we gonna look back one day? I don't think I will, but I worry now.
I don't think so. I think their babies are our video games. They enjoy that shit.
Oh, okay.
They love that shit. They have their dogs. They go to dog parks.
Maybe not though. I still think that people
so angry about that.
Guys specifically, I don't really pretend to have any insight into the female brain at all. I don't even know if I want it, to be perfectly honest, because it's terrifying to me. But I feel like every guy has that thing they'd rather be doing. But I think to your question, or to answer your question, adulthood is that you have to prioritize. What?
Was that a sex reference?
No.
Okay.
Oh no, I just mean like I like to go home and I just like to watch. I like to watch Netflix. I like to watch Arrow on Netflix, right? But when I go home,
you don't like to watch Netflix. You like to look at what's on Netflix and not watch anything.
Well, I like to blade through Netflix and add things, copious amounts of things to my instant. Which my wife has now figured out how to take things off of my instant queue. Now it's a battle. Now it's a war, and I'm losing because she got more time on her hands. She's closer to the house. I know. I realized that I could do it online too, but it's not the same experience. It's not the same. It's not the same experience. Not the same experience.
Like we were about to say, "Oh, Nick, did you know that you could do it from your phone?"
I don't do it with my phone, but it's not the same thing.
What if that's what Nick was doing on his phone every time he's using the phone on this show?
It's not far.
Monster Squad, right?
It's not far from it. No, but I feel like when you're a kid, you just get to like, that's your world. Your world is all the fun things, and then you got to go to school for a little bit, but you don't really have to pay attention to anything. You don't have a lot going on. When you're an adult, you have to balance your time, and that is what adulthood means to me. It means when I go home, I'm going to walk through the door, and I'm going to be like, cool, now I can just watch TV. No, it's time to pay your taxes. No. Also, you said you'd go to the grocery store with me. No. And these are not things that I necessarily like or dislike. It's just you've got, when you were a kid, I think it was like everything was a little more compartmentalized. And when you're an adult, you have to deal with all of it at once, right? And then you get to like midnight and you're like, fuck, I'm too tired. And sometimes I come in here super tired and I'm like, sometimes I fight it. I'm like, fuck it. I'm staying up till 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm watching
every Die Hard movie.
As many Arrows as I want to watch tonight, right? And then the next day I come in and I'm prickly and you guys are like, why is Nick pissed off? And I leave him alone or whatever. Or Greg's prickly and I'm prickly and then we start yelling at each other and then we're fine.
Everyone's prickly.
After that.
We're rarely prickly on the same day.
Yeah, it's true.
Everybody's usually prickly on their own.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's what it is to me. It's like I do the same thing. Like I actually enjoy going to the store. I like spending time with my wife and doing those things. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, would I rather be at Trader Joe's right now or watching TV or watching a movie? I'd rather be watching a movie. It just sucks. You got to balance it out.
I guess.
But you have to find that.
At all.
No.
Period. I mean,
well, you're not quite an adult yet.
Very
to be fair, you
enough.
and Kevin are still man children.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I get the errands done, usually by use of Kevin.
Yeah.
But, it's like, I don't like this. Going to grocery stores, good Lord, please, no. Amazon,
Really?
God bless you.
See, that's
you
the thing.
Make everything good for me.
Before I got sick, I was getting my groceries delivered from Safeway, and it was a fucking golden age to be alive, like $9, and I just order online, everything shows up, I'm like dynamite. And then when I got sick, I came down with a little case of cancer, and Christine's like, "We're eating organic, and we're gonna go to a nice grocery store," and I was like, "I just thought Safeway's fault. Never blame Safeway." But then I got better, and now it's just like, well, I do like the nicer store better, but
the
it's
nicer
more
store.
work.
You were right about Andronicos. Eating organic is meaningless. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah,
but it makes you feel better.
You've been there. Those moments when you first get cancer and it's just everything's fault. It's everything's. We're gonna throw away this.
My
comforter.
cancer was not as serious as your cancer.
Sure, but you had it.
I did have cancer. You want more?
Yeah. If you don't mind. Do you mind, Alex?
No.
It's yours. You brought it as a gift.
No.
Thank you.
Here's what I'm gonna tell you about what you're talking about. I got something to say to you. That's all you're gonna get.
That's fine. It's not. We don't have much show left. Only another 2 hours.
What is adulthood like? Is adulthood good, bad, or whatever? I can tell you with certainty that what we're living is adulthood per se, but not really adulthood. Now I'm gonna say something about people with kids and all this kind of stuff. I always kid around, so I'm just gonna kid around again and say anyone who tells you they have kids and a family and they like it, yeah, I'm sure you do. Now, I hope to God, anyone that's listening to this podcast, please pause it. Go watch the video version of that just to see Colin's face when he says that. Yeah, sure. Anyway, everyone's
sorry.
like, well, I always bust my friends who are married or have kids or whatever. I always bust their balls. I'm like, what? So how's it going? And I'm like, oh, it's such a blessing and stuff. And I'm like, oh, it must have been awesome not being a slave to this fucking infant.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm getting up whatever I want. I'm doing whatever I want.
The disdain from here.
We got to cut off all the expenditures for things we like and start putting them in a college fund so this fucking one-day drug addict can go to rehab. He ain't going to college.
The great lie foisted on humanity out of evolutionary need is the fact that you should have kids and enjoy it. I'm only kidding. I'm probably gonna have kids one day and it's gonna be just as miserable experience as everyone else. Although I will not fake it. Someone's gonna be like, what is it like being
Lord knows, Colin Moriarty.
Someone's gonna be like, what is
fucking honest about this shit?
Someone's gonna be like, what is it like having kids? And I'll be like, it's as awful as you think it is.
Yeah.
But jokes aside, I think that we live in a very insulated industry. I've talked to Cheryl about my girlfriend about this, where our connection to the people we grew up with on the island, a lot of them are married or divorced now. They have kids and stuff, and she often is the one that says you live in a fantasy world specifically, and it's not only you. It's not like she's not pointing out to me. She's like, all of you.
Yeah.
Like everyone you know is in the same world where you all pretend that you're normal. But in fact, none of you are normal. None of you are doing normal things. And you're so insulated in your own bubble that you don't realize that it's not normal to live with your friends at 31 years old and own a business talking about video games. None of you are married. None of you have kids. None of you want to get married or have kids. Nick wants to get married, or Nick is married.
Even that,
That's neither
talking
here
about
nor
no
there.
regrets. You know.
That's neither here nor there. So
go
I actually think that, being serious now, not telling jokes, but being more serious is that people really do derive pleasure out of having kids and having a family and stuff like that. And by 30, 31, 32, 33, the die is cast for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of freedom, but it's also just unrealistic. Like when I tell you, and I'm not kidding around with you, like when I'm like, Greg and I might live together for 5 or 10 more years, I'm dead fucking serious. Like I could see a future where in 2 years, Greg and I don't live together. And I can see a future where in 10 years, Greg and I indeed still live together. When we're in our early 40s. And that to us is normal because then we look around San Francisco and it's like it's expensive. No one lives by themselves unless they have like a rent controlled apartment and blah, blah, blah. So I think that our gauge of adulthood is way askew. And so do we have valid complaints about adulthood that everyone would have? Yeah. Paying bills sucks. Being responsible for X, Y, and Z sucks. Paying your rent, paying your taxes. It's all awful. It's all sucks. It's all just everyone robbing you basically. But at the same time, like we don't have the real rigmarole of adulthood, which is about. That's where I agree. Like I bust people's balls about their kids and stuff like that. Of course, they love their kids and they have a good time being parents, whatever. But I couldn't imagine living in a situation where I can't just wake up whenever I want. Like Cheryl is the one who busts my balls all the time. She's like, it really is all about what you want. And I'm like, but I'm not a selfish person. She's like, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that your whole life is what you want. Like you don't have anyone to answer to.
Yeah, there's no restrictions, no obligations.
She's like, you own your own business. You are your own boss. And you have no kids. She's like, I moved out, so you don't have to deal with me, except for on weekends or whatever. She's like, which is enough. And she's like, it really is. She's like, you just wake up when you want, you go to bed when you want, you do what you want, you eat what you want, you watch what you want, you listen to what you want. You want to go out to a restaurant one day with your friend, you do that. You want to go to a movie, you do that, even though your friends aren't telling you insistently enough on what movies you should see. So you're not going to the movies quite enough. I'm
telling you,
should.
I'm just gonna come get you next time.
Remember when I tried to go to a movie with you?
I know, but the problem is,
and then because you're fucking married,
we got the wild card, which is my wife. She's like this. I think we should go to a movie today, and I'm like, well, and then there's just nothing you can say. What can you say? I promised the guys I'd go to
date.
I told her
with
I was
Greg
like,
and
she
Colin.
goes, good. Go see it again. Go see it again.
So
and then what happened?
Everyone bitched out.
Tim's girlfriend came to town
Yeah.
and
She does
torpedoed
things.
that.
Yeah.
And then what happened? Kevin is his fucking bitch.
I'm
He
seeing
had
it.
to go there too. The
I'm seeing
Olive
a
Garden,
theme.
no less.
Yeah,
I can't believe you guys went to the Olive Garden.
Do you guys not realize that it's the fucking unlimited pasta time? It only lasts for a month. I've only been there 4 times.
Tim,
I'm doing it wrong.
Oh my god, I hate
We should go tonight to the Olive Garden.
Fucking Christ.
Hell yes.
We're not going to
We should go to the Olive Garden
I
tonight.
was not expecting.
You know what? Fuck it. We're going to the Olive Garden.
you. Hey, you came all the way to San Francisco. Let's say the
So
Olive Garden.
I'll say that like being married, having kids, even though marriage ends more often than not in divorce.
Yeah, looking forward to that time. in my life.
Yeah. I'm sure that you do. I read
How
it
much
on your
of the
eyes.
business is she going to take?
Oh, she only gets my percentages of it. That's it.
Half of your
She only,
percentage.
she only gets half of whatever I own.
She gets it all. She gets everything.
That's gonna be fun.
She
Hang
shows
on
up
for a
one day
little
in a power suit. We're like, oh no, it happened.
So I just think that the whole, people really do enjoy having, again, jokes aside, people enjoy having their families and having their kids and marrying, settling down, buying a house, having a job and a career, having a 9 to 5, cutting it off, then working in the yard, painting the fucking house, doing, what I mean? Like these are normal everyday things. And I shook my head before when you were asking like, will we regret it? But yeah, we might.
I don't think I'm
We
going
might,
to.
because-
It's just like, but this like, I was weird to be in the grocery store and not be like, I need to get home and get some trophies. It was just like, wait a second, is this what everybody back in the middle of the country feels like?
No, they don't care about trophies.
Well, that's what I meant. That's
No,
what I meant.
and that-
they
and
don't
that's-
know the relief.
And I'm not judging you at all. I'm telling you that I'm right there with you. But it's the conundrum. It's the conundrum of the industry we're in and how we all grew up together and we've all kind of. And I'm not saying us at this table. I'm not saying us as the old IGN crew, which Tim was a little late to, but was still very much part of that crew of that same mentality of we're all in this together and this is all normal. Trust me, this is all totally perfectly normal what we're doing together. We hang out all the time together. We go to bars together. We see each other constantly. None of us are in committed relationships, and this is totally normal. And when you just go anywhere else, go to a wedding in another state, go see your family, and you're like, no, this is not normal at all. And so, do I think that I'll have regret? Yeah, maybe.
See, but what are you going to regret? Because anytime I hang out with any of my friends that aren't the people you just described, the conversation usually goes, oh man, I haven't seen you for so long. How you doing? Oh man, everything's fucking awesome. Let me tell you about this cool thing I did and this cool thing I did.
But then
next week I'm doing that cool thing. How are you?
No, it goes, I'm good. have you seen this show on television or these 15 other ones? And I'm like, no, I didn't even know.
Very true.
Does anyone watch Walking Dead? Then I have one touchstone to go with.
But you're ignoring the obvious, which is that you're not always going to be 25. We're not always going to be in our early 30s. We're eventually going to be 50. And you damn well believe that I'm not going to be talking about video games for a living when I'm 50 years old. You know? And that's
be.
But I can't be because who's gonna relate to the 50-year-old?
Many people like it, but that's the thing. I listen to Kevin Smith. The man's like well into his 40s at this point, right? Like
but Kevin Smith made like 7 movies that are like classics.
Yeah, but he's influential and he's a tastemaker, and I still care about what he has to say. I'll still care about what you have to say about games later.
I mean,
because you'll also have the wealth of knowledge from the beginning of video games to bring along with you. So you'll
that's
by that
true,
point
and I'm not trying to disparage the art of talking about games. What I'm saying is it a viable path forward for us to assume that in 20 years we're going to be doing this?
Yes.
You know, and
I think it is.
I can't imagine me doing this in 20 years. You know, so it's
gotta be, yeah.
I think it'll change and evolve. I think all of us, like we always talk about it, this all goes right, Kind of Funny builds into something in an empire, and we bring in new people, and they're doing their shows, and they start taking over here's the contemporary view on games or this or that, and then we fade off, and it is us just doing what we want when we want, and if that is all behind the scenes or if it is doing a show like this.
See, I have a bunker mentality, and I don't mean that in a psychological way. I literally want to live in my bunker. So how can I get to that bunker as soon as possible?
By then,
is the question.
Yeah, you're missing out. By then, we're all gonna have VR, and we'll just be able. You'll be all fucking podcasting that way, and I'll be there.
Yeah,
I want to
be like just like virtuosity.
If they can already do it with Around the Horn, we could do it like that.
Sure,
you can be in your bunker down there, have a little chalkboard behind you.
Sure.
Woody Page. I'm making a Woody Page reference.
I understand that.
Thank you.
So I'm not disparaging talking about games at 50. You can talk about games when you're 80. What I'm saying is that like a viable path forward? In other words, is everything going to evolve forward with us? I ask a lot of these questions, which is why I've talked about, the whole Tonight Show reference or the Tonight Show analogy that I always use, which I think is like a super important reference, in the sense that, it shouldn't be about us in the future and won't be. And at least not about me. I don't know about you guys. I mean, it's not going to be about me.
It'll be about Tim.
I mean, it's going to be about us.
I
think
assume
it's about everyone but you.
Kevin will be running the company.
Here's my thing. I don't believe this for 1 second. Until you are actually not on it, I won't believe it. Because
seeing is believing.
You're good at
Very
it.
true. You
So
are
it's
good
like
at
you're
it.
not
This is
gonna
your
stop
passion.
it.
There's no reason to do that.
No, it is my passion, and I am good at it, and I appreciate that. What I'm saying is it realistic? That's the
what
question.
about our life
None
is
of this is
realistic?
I was going to say,
That's
a big
exactly
point.
the point. Is that nothing we are doing is realistic? So we don't have a
as
proper.
far from normal as normal. As
So real and
like
normal is
tapping-
stupid.
it's like
They're
tapping
wrong.
me.
Like that's
See,
the
that's
way
the
I see it is my best friend who's a fucking finance accountant or whatever. I don't even know who the hell. He's in finance. He's in accounting. It keeps changing and it means
Finance
nothing to
accountant.
me.
Current.
But then so when he's
Said it
50,
right.
You did.
and is he gonna be doing that shit? Yeah.
Well,
That
because he's in.
Sucks for him. I'm so sorry.
Some people
Well,
like
if he
numbers.
likes it, or he might be a CFO,
Okay,
or he might be
if he likes it.
He'll
Liking
be a
accounting is
CEO
like
or a CFO by
liking your babies and shit.
So
Like
you
that-
tricked
like
yourself
numbers.
into
You don't
it.
really like your
Yeah.
babies, and you really don't like your accounting.
Well,
job.
that's the thing with you, Colin. I know we're kind of a little off topic, but the idea of you doing it when you're
This is
50.
Nick's first show. He didn't know he got off topic.
No, I know. But the idea of you doing this, like what we're doing, or some iteration or some evolution of what we're doing when you're 50, might seem ridiculous, but that's because no one we know is doing that. But it doesn't mean that when you get to that, it won't be awesome. Like you might be that person that everyone's like, like you watch, what does that show you? Mike and Mike or any of those shows, right? Those guys
Around the
are
Horn.
still talking about sports.
Sure.
And they're not young anymore.
No, they're
right?
not. They're
They gotta
not.
be in
No,
their
that's a
50s.
that's a great point.
You
That's
know,
a
and
fantastic
so,
point.
And the reason why they're so important and seen as experts is because they've been doing it for so long and they've been around sports for so long. They have that mature outlook. And granted, they're still, every time I tune in one of those shows, they're busting each other's balls just like we do. So
Greg and I really are the Kornheiser and Wilbon
really
of
are.
video games.
Yep.
You really are.
I'm Mike Wilbon.
Oh yeah.
Just making sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So no, it's just.
I see your point, though. I mean, I feel like it will evolve, and hopefully it'll evolve to a point where Kevin can run the company, and I can walk around in my underwear in the back of every shot, and it'll be hilarious. Like, there's old man Nick again. We haven't seen him in a week. He's wearing the tree trunk boxers.
The other thing that this has nothing to do with adulthood, but maybe it does in a sense, is that because maybe it's about not letting go of some of your dreams, but the road doesn't end here for me either.
No.
So it's like it will end with me in terms of like I always want to own a piece of this business and always be a part of it and stuff like that. But I want to do other things. Sure. I want to be able to leverage my hard work now to do cooler things, or not cooler because I don't think it's going to be much cooler than owning your own business with your friends. But I want to write a book. I want to like chill. I really do. Like when I say I want to retire like as early as possible, I'm dead fucking serious. And people are like, what do you want to do? Like, people always tweet me. It's like, it's a common question. What do you want to do when you retire? And I'm like, nothing.
That's the point.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, I'm going to travel the world and work on my, get my handicap down and all these kinds of things, in golf. And I'm like, we'll see what happens. You know, like on a day-to-day basis,
Don't
maybe
get ahead of
I'll
yourself.
get up and watch daytime TV one day. Maybe I'll just not get up at all one day and just sleep.
How much Price is Right do you think you're gonna watch?
Oh my god,
when you're
dude, it's a
retired?
dream. And that's what I was saying. I've said it
I was
before. My
addicted to
uncle's
that
like my
show.
uncle Mike is like my fucking. He's like he's a legend. He's like my hero because he just retired and he's in his 50s. And I asked him that same question. I'm like, so what are you gonna do? You're gonna play a little golf? You're gonna travel? He's like, I'm not doing anything. And he was dead fucking serious. He's like, I'm not doing anything. And I'm like, oh man, God
You
damn
nailed
it,
it,
you are a
Uncle Mike.
legend.
I didn't think that was an option.
Yeah, I'm like, you're a legendary. He's
I
like,
could not
he's
do
like,
anything?
he just built a house, got all the money he needs. He's just hanging out, you know. And
So
I'm like,
good.
fucking A, dude. That's the life because he worked really hard.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so I want to work really hard and build something, but I don't know.
I think you can do it all. I think you can use this
I'd
as
like
a
to.
springboard. I think that's the whole point of this, right? Is it's small now, but we'll use it as a springboard to grow and do all the things we want to do.
And I have
That'd be
2
nice.
points here. Fuck what's normal. Seriously. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because everyone else does or whatever, lives their life, however, I've seen so many of my friends and just people I know do the exact opposite of normal. A perfect example, one of my friends, finance major, decided to not take a job because he wanted to finish writing a script he has. Now he's funded it and he's writing it, making it, got a movie coming out.
Nice.
Good for him.
That's something that people who want to do that don't get to do, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And had he gone with the normal thing of like, nah, I'm, take this job at a bank, go with it, like, he'd be fucking miserable.
Yeah, he'd be really good at spreadsheets, though.
You know
He-
Excel like nobody's
I
business.
mean, it's just stuff like that. It's like everyone tells you what's normal or what to do. No, fuck that. Do what you want to do. I mean, take care of yourself and all, but like, at the end of the day, if you're not happy with what you're doing, it's just, you're fucking up.
Yep.
That's the only thing I can say there. And about Kinda Funny itself, the reason I felt comfortable dropping the money to come see you guys is because I really do think this is going to last.
Thank you.
It does remind me a lot of the beginnings of something big. You know, I go back one summer, I went back and listened to all of Rooster Teeth's podcasts and just seeing how they had no idea, but the vague idea, you know what I mean? Or other similar things. And I really do think it's going to last because there's just something about it that it's very rare to see people as engaged as the community here is. And that has to count for something.
yeah, no. I mean, you're a huge part of it. The fact that you'll come out and take a chance on us like
Those
this.
are my 2 points.
No, they were
Good
great.
points.
They were really good points.
I'm taking no further questions.
To your point of, oh,
You want to dismiss Kevin? Go for it.
No, see, this was something I wasn't expecting. Every time you guys you do whatever to Kevin, I see a little part of him dies.
No, he's been dead for a long time.
I just
We killed him.
It's like that thing when you're playing a video game and you're just like, oh, it's just one of the peasants in Skyrim. I'll just hit him. I can't bring myself to do it. Like,
Thank you.
You're right.
I'd
Kevin
feel
is like
bad.
a peasant in
I would
Skyrim.
feel bad about
No shoes, filthy.
God damn.
Though
All right,
I
love
also
that
did
movie.
not realize you guys aren't fucking around about how distracting he is.
Oh, I know. Look at him.
He was
Look at him.
playing. He was
He's
playing with
lounging.
Abe from Oddworld and
The
the
best,
fan.
Colin,
the
what-
best is when there was a moment of terror in his eyes today where he thought his leg was stuck underneath the computer and on top of that, where I saw him shift out and he couldn't move it, and like he was trapped in a bear trap.
gotcha, Kevin.
All right, great topic, Greg. That topic was brought to you by none other than patreon.com/kindafunny. I wanted to give a shout out. We put up the exclusive episode for October, right the day we're recording this. So there's an exclusive episode up if you're a patron. Or if you're not, you can go get them. You get all the exclusive episodes we've ever put up. This one though was me interviewing my dad. That was very special.
That's
so
fucking
thank you
cool.
all for being a part
I
of
think
that.
that is one of the coolest things we've ever done.
Yeah,
I
that
haven't
was a
listened to
really,
it yet,
really
and I'm
cool
excited.
special.
But is it worth the $1?
Oh, I can goddamn guarantee this one's worth $1.
He tells
There you
other
go.
stories and he throws me under the bus quite a bit.
Oh,
So I
I
highly
love that.
recommend it. I was like, because I thought he'd defend me. Like, Dad, they think I'm weird and they want to come make a documentary. He's like, yeah, I can see it. I'm like, God damn it, Dad. Like, he was like, oh, that makes sense.
It's valuable footage. That's
Nick.
going in the documentary. Yes.
It's your turn to take us home. What's your topic?
My topic is.
No.
Are you gonna interrupt?
Well,
You're
I
not
was going to
do it?
interrupt. Yeah, but I thought I was going to let you go. I didn't want it to be an unnatural interrupt.
Just interrupt. It's
I'm
okay.
interrupting.
What the fuck is wrong with
He
us?
opened his mouth. You opened your mouth
I
to
did.
interrupt me.
I did, and I'm sorry that I'm interrupting you now. Your
My
topic
topic
is
is
you don't get it. You don't get to do it. You don't
cell
get to pick
Okay.
it. You don't get to pick it. Your topic comes from the community at patreon.com/kindafunny. Christopher Ball submitted a topic. He said, "Hey, best friends. So I would like your help."
My topic was going to be real dirty, by the way.
Trey,
Kind of shit that changes a man.
Marriage.
Christopher Ball, everybody. Hey, best friends. So I would like to help you guys revisit topics that you said, quote, we can revisit on another topic. Because we do that a lot.
We do.
Since I am still catching up on all the Game Over Greggy shows, I believe I am on episode 73. I'm hoping that y'all haven't said these yet. He gave us a list to choose from. The one I've chosen is Nick. Defend Watchmen. Apparently somewhere between episode 1 and 73, Watchmen came up. And
I think it was the trailer episode. We're talking about best trailers ever.
Okay.
We're talking about Zack Snyder, and we're talking about Watchmen.
The Muse trailer. The trailer has me. I mean, I liked Watchmen, man. That was one of those. I have this weird thing where I don't really read that much. I don't really open books that much. So as far as I get is the graphic novel, and The Watchmen, of course, is a very famous and popular graphic novel by Alan Moore, I want to say. But I had not heard of it. I had seen the posters. I had seen the smiley face with the blood, and I was like, that's cool, whatever. It wasn't until I started IGN that someone's like, oh, they're making this new movie. I was like, that looks like a dope movie. And they're like, well, it's based on a book. And I'm like, I didn't know that. No, I don't. Why the fuck would I know that? But so I went back and obviously read the book. I'm like, I'm gonna read the graphic novel before it comes out. And I watched the movie and I was like, this is a really cool almost a frame by frame interpretation of what I read, minus of course a couple things that you kind of I thought should be changed. Namely, the ending was a little bit weird, and it kind of made more sense, I think, in the movie. And they cut out some of the newspaper stuff,
the kid reading the comic,
stuff and all that stuff, which I thought, honestly, if we're being honest, dragged like crazy when you read the book. So I watched it. I was like, this is really, really cool. And I think everyone went back and watched The Watchmen, or everyone that saw The Watchmen was like, that didn't know the original source material, probably was like, this is a really shitty superhero movie because they're just getting their ass kicked the entire time. And they're kind of like, the guy's kind of fat now, and I don't understand what's going on in that. But that's not what it's about. It really is. It's sort of it's using those old tropes of superheroes to sort of have more of a deeper meaning as far as what's happening in society. I thought it was a good film.
See, I'm with this is the thing about it, is that I'm with you. I've always liked Watchmen. I went and saw Watchmen, enjoyed it, and left. I, of course, am a huge comic nerd. I've read Watchmen, but I'm coming of age in the 80s or whatever. I don't read Watchmen till late. Probably I want to say college somewhere, and then I read.
What is the date of publish?
Let's look it up.
Oh, I feel like it was
80.
Yeah.
88 is what you're saying?
I think it was before me.
Okay.
Yeah, like I did a weird run. That thing, like Watchmen, also holds a special place in my heart because I think because of that, I was like, oh, there's also these awesome like graphic novels from back in the day that I should read. Yeah. And I went back and read one called The Dark Knight Returns.
Published,
and I'm like, that was worth it.
Yeah.
Published in 86 and 87, collected in 87. Okay. So I get to it late, and it's a classic. It's one of the best things ever, and da-da-da-da. And I read it, and I enjoy it, but I don't have, it's what we were talking about earlier in this episode, where people have built it up to such a state that by the time you get to it, you're like, oh, I'm reading a classic. You're like, it was good. It was fun. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like, I didn't feel changed when I left it. You know what I mean? So I never had the attachment to Watchmen that so many people did. Went and saw the movie, thought it was great. And then I think it's the opposite, actually. You're talking about people coming in and going, that was a boring superhero movie. For me, it seems like everybody who loved Watchmen hates the movie. That seems to be the reaction.
I think there's three different camps, because I think there's the people that knew nothing about the book or the movie, and that's what he's talking about. Like, my friends were like, "This is a shitty superhero movie."
Okay,
whereas for me, I knew about the book, but I didn't read it until after I saw the movie, and I'm right there with you guys. I loved the movie, and I thought I liked the changes that they made. But then there is the third camp, which is the loudest camp, which is, oh, fuck the movie.
Purists,
you changed the shit. The book's better. How could you do this? Whatever. So I think those are the real three things.
Yeah.
I don't know too many people that didn't like either of them, either the book or the movie.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever. It's also sacrilege to talk shit about the book, the graphic novel. Like, it's one of those. It's such a classic at this point that people instantly like it, whether or not they've read it. Right? They talk about it as though it were like sacred. I liked it. It wasn't. I thought it was a cool story. I liked seeing it unfold, and I also was very, very interested to see what Zack Snyder was going to do following up 300, which I think this was the follow-up film to it. And I think I also got a lot of shit for that too, because everyone's like, "Oh, he's so good at visuals, but he can't tell a story."
Exactly,
like, he is fucking telling a great story here. You just don't like the story.
And see, like, I'm looking. I put in Watchmen sucks and came up with a whole bunch of fucking reviews, right? And here's one that's pulled from Noah Berlatsky. He says, one of the most telling characters is Rorschach. In the comic, he's repulsive and ludicrous. A tiny man with lifts in his shoes. He suffers from major sexual problems, and his disguise is a street person whose placard reads, "The end is nigh." The backstory makes him both more likable and less admirable. The moment in the comic when he threatens his landlady is uncomfortable, but the next panel, where he spares her because of her child, who reminds him of himself as a boy, is extremely poignant. Snyder alludes to some of this. We glimpse Rorschach in his civvies wandering around with his sign, but it never coheres. Viewers new to the story might not even realize this nutty doomsayer is the vigilante's alter ego. All we're left with is another cool as shit dark hero kicking ass in glossy martial arts sequences, doing the dirty work of justice. Like maybe, and like you'd have to tell me on your first viewing how much of it you put together. For me, I guess maybe that's the cheat, is that I came in knowing the real story, the backstory, everything about it, knowing the characters, not being like, these, I love them, they're fucking perfect, you know what I mean? Like, I understood all that. I thought it was communicated.
I mean, to be fair, like, watching it, I didn't get everything from watching it the first time, but I remember wanting to watch it again because I instantly knew, I was like, I didn't catch everything in that.
Right.
Like, I do think that there was a lot of subtleties and stuff, and I think that the soundtrack that the movie had was fucking exquisite, and it really added to it, and it enhanced the whole experience overall. And it's like another one of the moments that a lot of people hate on is the sex scene.
I like that.
Hallelujah's playing, and like that. It's just like, I liked that. It felt right. It felt like he nailed the tone of the comic in movie form, which there's no songs in the fucking comic book. Like, adding that stuff is gonna change things, but I think that they changed things in line with what the story was.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, at the same time, a movie is only so long.
Yeah, you have to make sacrifices.
Yeah, whereas this graphic novel is, you know, there's a lot more information. There's a lot more opportunities. And what Colin was talking about in the last couple of topics, it's like, it kind of leaves a lot more up to you. Nick was talking about the storyboard thing where you kind of fill in the blanks. Guess what? All the subtleties and stuff you're talking about, filled in, aren't these crazy things you see in your head. It's what the movie was.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's the same when it's always the same when they take great books. And how many times have you heard someone say, well, the book is always better than the movie?
Right, exactly.
It's just going to be. Of course it's going to be, because you have an infinite amount of pages with which to write this story and to develop these characters and to go anywhere you want to go with it. But guess what? No one would sit in a theater if they knew the movie was going to be 6 hours long or 7 hours long. They would have to break it up. It would have to be a trilogy, and then that's a whole rigmarole. And they're not going to do that with The Watchmen, right? So you have 2.5 hours really to capture people's attention and tell the story. And so you have to, as the screenwriter or as the director, you have to really or as the editor, because maybe they shot all that stuff and the editor was like, dude, we can't, this is like a 3.5 hour movie. Maybe we got to like chop this part out where he's just sitting there begging on the street for fucking 25 minutes because it develops his character. Which, by the way, I felt that's a complete bullshit. That character, how many fucking shots do you have to see of him? We saw him as a bum.
Yeah.
And then we see his face at the end. We see him in jail. We see all these things. We knew it was him. That's ridiculous.
Sorry,
That's
Noah.
dismissed. Noah's dismissed.
Noah, you're dismissed.
Well, hold on. Let me see if I can do it. Yeah. Right. Did I nail it?
Nailed it. Crushed it. It's as good as my Detective Lance impression.
What's your? Oh, that was a good impression though. Why does he have a New York accent?
Tell me this Queen kid over here comes back the same time Arrow does?
Have you noticed that he sits a little too close to everyone in Arrow? He's always here.
Yeah, still can't tell it's
when
Oliver Queen.
Here. Well, I just mean in general. He always sits down next to Laurel and he's like, Laurel. And he's way too earnest in every scene. Doesn't matter.
No, the way he says Laurel though.
Wow.
He's
That
like
gets to
it's
me.
like fucking watching.
Love
It's like
that show, but
take
that gets
Columbo
to me.
out of Columbo and put it in, and that's him. But yeah,
Alex-
I mean, I thought it was good. But Alex, we talked.
Yeah, what
to
do
you
you
a little
think?
about
What do
this.
you think? What is your take on the Watchmen movie?
Man?
Did you love the comic?
No.
Well, there you go.
Okay.
So it was adequate. It was an adequate
I-
reproduction.
Kevin's doing the lean in thing. You got to lean in.
I don't really have. I mean, Watchmen. Didn't hate it. Didn't love it.
Yeah.
It was one of those things. It was very forgettable. I don't know. That's the only thing I can really say about it. It wasn't any fault of its own, but at the time I remember there was just a lot of stuff I was more interested in, and I feel like I might have been taking a Vietnam War literature class at the same time, so it was one of those just like, oh, this shit again. Like I read so much stuff about that in so many random ways pertained to Vietnam that I was just for a couple months I was just done.
Nommed out.
Yeah, exactly. It got to a point where like I was
Nom,
playing.
son.
I was playing. I remember like later on I was playing Black Ops 1, and I got to a point I was like, fuck, I can't do this. Too much straight to multiplayer. And I never do that for Call of Duty. I used to
That's crazy.
beat them on veteran.
No one
and
ever
play,
does that for Call of Duty. Just skip the single player campaign and go straight to multiplayer.
I used to always do the single player on veteran and then start in because I felt like it made me better at the multiplayer.
Yeah, sure.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think up to Black Ops, they had some interesting stories in there. Modern Warfare 1 was pretty interesting. And I don't know, I think it was a large part of my reaction to Watchmen was just this shit again.
Well, I feel like it's also one of those things where you look back, and I wasn't reading comics in 86. I don't think I was reading anything in 86. So it's one of those things where we've seen now the sort of the turn from comics being about superheroes like Superman or Batman or the classic superheroes to let's peel that back a little bit and let's tell a really dark, fucked up story.
Yeah.
And really dive into the psyche of this guy that's like living on the streets or, his alter ego is a bum, but he's also a vicious vigilante. That might have been, I don't know, and maybe people can correct me, but that might have been one of the first of its kind to really tell a story like that and have it be brutal and fucked up.
Well,
and main characters die and like
it definitely hit like a resonance with people where you were saying that it led you to Dark Knight Returns.
Right.
Me too. Like it was around that time period where I realized like, oh, comic books aren't just this monthly thing where there's just like a bunch of shit and ongoing stories with this continuity, nothing makes sense. Like essentially to me, comic books in my mind before I started reading them, because I didn't get into comics until maybe like 6 years ago. Before then, I just thought it was just, images and words versions of the animated 90s shows. I was just like, all right, it's just more.
Sure.
But then once I found out about Watchmen and then Dark Knight Returns, I was like, oh shit. Like there are stories being told that are really awesome. And, they're dark and there's thought put into them. And they make you think. And I think Watchmen is one of those things where watching it, like the whole time I was like, fuck, I don't know what's going on. That's good. I should be thinking about this. You can't just like, glaze over. Like you guys were talking about Superman and like how it explains to you exactly what's happening. Watchmen doesn't do that.
Places.
I see. I don't know why.
Now you're Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum as Gene Hackman.
That'd be amazing.
But Watchmen doesn't hold your hand in that way entirely. I mean, it's a movie, so that it has to have a plot that makes sense. But there's a lot of subtleties. There's a lot of metaphors. There's a lot of things that are, once you get it, once you're watching it with that frame, you're like, oh, this is great. This makes sense. But if you're just watching it, you're like,
it's a bad superhero movie.
That's
Comedian's a jerk.
Yeah,
but that's the thing, and that, I think it's also harder for like the older it gets, I think the harder and harder it's going to be to put it in context. Like when it came out as an original story, and then the movie. Right, like by the time the movie had been made, we had seen other things like that, and so it's very difficult, and it's always really, really hard. And I don't want to go down that rabbit hole of saying like, no, it was great because it was great for its time. But because I think The Watchmen does still hold up, I think you can read it now and be like, that's actually a really cool story. But at the same time, I don't know, like when that movie came out, if people were, I don't know if it was as shocking as it was supposed to be, right? And maybe people just didn't resonate with it.
I think that was, remembering it now, I think part of my issue was the pacing and the fact that everyone seemed to tell me it was going to be shocking. It just wasn't.
Once they give you, you're told something's going to be something, you go in thinking.
And it was just, I remember there were parts of it where I was watching the movie and I was like, really? That's when you want to do that? Okay. I mean, it just, again, it was mostly because everyone told me, oh, this is going to be great, blah, 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 whatever. And I remember a lot of it just like missed beats to me. I was like, I feel like you went from A to C. You know what I mean? There's, I know why you had to, but
I would say they went
held
to
it back.
I would say in this, for that analogy, though, the A and the B and C were on the same, side of the different sides of the same fence, right? They're not necessarily a linear thing. I would think that they go in a direction purposely opposite of where you think they should go. Not necessarily a pacing reason, but like the whole story is about how these characters were living one life and then realizing that life was completely like different or contrary to to what it should have been. And then revisiting that, like even it's a bold choice to take your main character, and I can't remember if he was this way in the movie. I think he was, and make him overweight for 90% of.
No, he was.
He has this
Owlman.
Owlman, who was like this super fit guy when he was like doing it back in the day, and now he's kind of old and fat and slower, and reliving those glory days doesn't really work for him in the way it's even supposed to, right? In traditional stories, he's supposed to get fit, and go out there and kick ass, and that's just not the story. If that's what you're looking for, you're not going to like this movie.
Yeah, and I think those were some of the things it did right, but a bit of it was I remember the one like real thing I left that movie with was they asked me to care at the wrong points. Near the beginning, there's the whole I guess it's spoilers for the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Guys. Yeah, don't worry about it. You can spoil Watchmen.
The comedian gets thrown out a window, and everyone, I understand you're not supposed to know that.
A comedian died.
Yeah, that whole thing. It was just like, and they're slowly explaining it and all, but it's like, I just don't give a fuck. The dude gets thrown out of a window. It's like you're asking me to eventually care. And
that's
I'm like,
the thing. That's why it's so good, because you at first you're like, that's weird. I didn't know that guy, and then you get to know him in the comic books. At least I can't remember how the movie played out. You start to get to know him. You're like, this guy's not a likable guy.
Yeah, that's still the way.
And then Alan Moore somehow makes you care about that, which is just really weird. It's good storytelling, I thought. But you're right. Maybe the movie did have. I mean, I'm not gonna say the movie's not
perfect.
Definitely not.
I'm always shocked by just the amount of hate that movie gets. You know what I mean?
But I think it's a Snyder thing overall.
I think it is a Snyder thing.
I think people really kind of hate on him.
People love hating on Zack Snyder.
It's over the top levels.
I guess, but I mean, even at the time, it felt like people hated him, and you didn't even know.
Yeah, but even then, though, I think that was kind of it was around the time when everyone just started hating him, and that was the point where it's like
300, and then
300's
awesome.
It's
a similar trailer, very visually inspired.
But the other thing there is like,
musical.
oh my god, 300 is the coolest thing, and then it became cool to not like 300. And then you see this. I think that's what it was.
I love 300.
300 was hilarious.
I never liked 300.
I never watched 300.
I can completely understand why you wouldn't. I really can. My wife, because
it's too stylish.
I watched Sin City Dame to Kill For, which I surprisingly liked. I liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to like, because it got shit on. And I thought it was actually pretty good. I'm like, I don't know people's problems with this, but it's that style. People just can't get into it. It's like that purposely really, really cartoony style. I love 300. I even liked the second one, Rise of an Empire.
That story could have been told in such a cool way, and it wasn't, in my opinion. It was such a waste. I remember watching.
You should go back and read the graphic novel. It's awesome.
With Mark Ryan, I remember at IGN, he and I went and watched it, and I was just like, ugh, what a waste.
I think you might be missing out on what it turned out to be, because if you watch it as a comedy, you will be very entertained. And Troy, if you watch them as
Troy, I did see as well.
If you watch them as comedies, at one point in Troy,
take it, it's yours.
Take it, it's yours.
Brad Pitt just looks at a whole army and yells, "Is there no one else?" And I just lose it every time. It's hilarious. He stood in front of a ton of people and did that, and everyone expected, like, you're gonna be in the theater like, Achilles, and I'm just like, what the fuck's Brad Pitt doing?
He's looking dope in that
and
fucking
same
armor.
thing for
He's doing
cool as shit.
The same thing in 300.
Slave girls.
They bring out Xerxes on that giant thing. Every time I see that dude, I just start laughing.
Well, that purposely was supposed to be kind of a weird look. He was supposed to be kind of an androgynous, sort of weird looking,
all I know is
ethereal character. I liked 300. I got into it. I can see why you wouldn't. I can see why you wouldn't like Watchmen either. But just go in now. I would say I'm going to give it another watch. Go in with your expectations set to it not being a superhero movie, and you might like it a little bit more. And for the love of God, stop giving Zack Snyder so much shit. He's a good filmmaker.
I'm with you on that one.
Everyone just, for some fucking reason, he became like,
it's cool to
when
hate him.
He hit the market with 300, and it's exactly what you're talking about. The fucking trailer came out, and everyone was like, this is going to be the coolest movie ever made. And then people saw it, and they were like, wow, that's really stylized. I didn't like it. But instead of, and I loved it. I loved 300. I still think it was a great film, just because I liked that it was different and they were trying something new. But then everyone turned that hate into like mega hate. Like Zack Snyder was supposed to be the second coming of Christ, and he let everyone down. Yeah. And that stigma, unfortunately, has followed the guy to every film he's making.
It's only the loud people.
I was going to say, his movies keep making money.
His movies keep making.
DC and Warner Brothers keeps giving him movies. Yeah. So it's like, I'm sure he's like, go ahead. I suck. You're right.
I'm making
here's the photo of the fucking Batmobile. I'll see you in hell.
I'm crying in my own private Starbucks. You know
Whoa.
I mean? That'd be dope if he had that.
Yeah. All right, good topic, Nick / Christopher Ball.
Well, thanks.
You did a good job defending it. It was so good.
Yeah.
The topic got sponsored.
Is it sponsored?
It is. Who do you think sponsored it?
Hell yeah.
Squarespace.
Oh, is it Squarespace? Our
did
friends
it,
at Squarespace?
You built our website with Squarespace.
I did.
It looks very good.
It's not bad. It's not bad. I like it a lot. I like Squarespace. I swear by them. I mean, look, if you don't feel like going out there and learning HTML or any other sort of coding programming or any other sort of web language, use Squarespace. It's easier. I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about, but guess what? I made a website.
Squarespace provides simple, powerful, and beautiful tools to make websites that look professionally designed regardless of skill level. No coding required.
See?
Not only does Squarespace provide you with intuitive and easy-to-use tools to create your website.
Knuckleheads on the other side of the table are laughing at me.
Who's laughing at you?
These two over there. Egg and Ook.
I'm laughing with
Egg
you.
and Ook?
Egg and Ook.
Who are they?
I don't know. It's a line
Nick,
from
I
Hudson
was
Hawk.
about to give you so much credit for not
Hawk.
interrupting this, and then you interrupted.
Squarespace
Great film.
also has state-of-the-art technology powering your site to ensure security and stability. And you can trust in Squarespace for your website needs when millions. Oh, is this what is this? This is the Viper? Why is he so tired today? That's just Portillo. You're just being weird. When millions of people and respected brands around the world trust him too. Seriously, you can't beat the ease and simplicity of Squarespace. Squarespace gives you 24/7 online support, a beautiful website. So what are you waiting for? Start a trial with no credit card required and start building your website today. When you decide to sign up for Squarespace, make sure you use the offer code KINDAFUNNY to get 10% off your first purchase and to show your support for us. Kinda funny.
You know who also went to Squarespace?
No.
My friend Scott. He made a website for his movie.
What up, Scott?
What's his movie called?
Nico. The movie is called Nico. It's a short film.
Nico, cousin.
Nico.
Yeah, it's NicoTheMovie.com.
Okay.
It looks really good. Very excited for it.
Cool.
A lot of people I know worked on it, and I think it's going to turn out really well.
All right.
Take it home, Colin.
Build it. Beautiful.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Game Over Greggy Show. If you didn't know, each and every week, 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather on this table. Each bring a random topic of discussion for your amusement. If you if you like that, head over to patreon.com/kindafunny, just like our friend Alex did, to support us. You get each and every episode early, and if you don't have any bucks to toss us, it's no big deal. Head over to youtube.com/kindafunny, where we post the show topic by topic, day by day, until we give the entire thing away as a giant video and giant MP3. Did you have fun?
Yes, I did.
Are you hot? It's hot in this room. See how we're talking about how hot it is?
Okay. Maybe it's
not
just
that bad.
because
You Austin
not that bad.
motherfucker.
I don't know, man.
Look at even Kevin.
My dad's from Egypt, though, so maybe
You got
naturally adapted to
Maybe.
What did you show him the episode about being when we were like what we wanted to be
I have
buried in
shown
our
him
tombs?
no episode.
Oh, that's probably for the best.
because
He's
no,
probably older.
actually, he probably watched. I remember. This is gonna make you guys feel old. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
My dad
I'm
one
focusing
time-
on Kevin. Kevin just scratched his armpit for the better part of 5 minutes. I just want you
Did
guys
that
to
make
know
you feel old?
No, it just would kind of. He's a distraction. Pros and cons with him.
My dad one time came in when I was in like middle school, started talking about you should read this article on IGN by this guy Greg Miller. I really like his writing.
Your dad did not come in.
Yes, he did.
Why is your dad reading IGN?
Because
Is he big into
my
video
dad
games?
is a nerd,
Oh, that's awesome.
much like myself.
Shout out to Mr. Aziz.
Yeah, well, he's probably not watching.
Well, now
probably
just show him this part,
yeah,
not the other horrible parts we did.
yeah. Okay. Then he'll go watch the other horrible parts though, and then I'll be in trouble.
Today's episode also gave us, right before we came in to record it, not right before, but today Colin was saying that he's starting to like Portillo more and more. And I think it now makes sense because Portillo's getting older. So Colin's starting to feel nostalgic for him, just like he feels nostalgic for old places.
Well, I've lived with Portillo for half his life,
I know, it's crazy, right?
and I've always liked Portillo.
I know,
I
I
just
know.
bust his balls.
I know.
But he and I have our moments.
I busted him the worst.
But I'm being more open about my my adoration of Portillo.
Yeah.
He's the stupidest motherfucker on the planet.
Sure.
By far. But that's part of his charm. That's part of his
I don't
charm.
know. He just
Plus, he's
looked
getting
at me like I belonged to him now.
You do. Now I can see through time.
like putting back his giving that fox kind of look.
Like he looks like he's running really fast. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, it's been our pleasure to serve you.
Want to give a quick shout out though.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, so sorry.
Everyone, check out Sean Twisters on Twitch.
Oh, we know
Good-
him.
Good
Sean
kid.
Pitts.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's a good
fun
kid.
time.
Yeah.
If you're one of the best friends, or even if you're not and just found this video, you should come hang out with us sometime.
You should.
Are you in his chat a lot?
Yes, I am.
Do you have your own Twitch channel?
I do, but I do not stream.
Oh, okay.
I'm the conductor for the rest of the community who might know me.
Oh.
Yeah, that's me.
I've seen you in our chat.
Yeah, I'm there sometimes.
All right.
He was there this morning.
Yeah. We read your thing today.
Do I
Indeed, I
brutally
was.
ridicule you when you type things in the chat?
No,
Oh.
no, I say intelligent.
Well, we'll change
things.
that. Until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.
Kevin, see if you like.
louder than that.
Kevin, see if you see how I sound like this. Put the headphones on. It's tearing up my heart when I'm with you.
It's a different song.
And when we are apart, I feel it too.
'Cause no matter what, Kevin, he feels
Say